this clean girl thing is the dumbest thing I've ever seen because it's just minimal makeup and you guys like to label things. You know, the whole mob wife thing, shut up. Just shut the hell up. I'm begging you to find your own sense of style and personality or just delete your TikToks.
The answer is yes, like for sure. The answer is yes.
I think I voted yes, but
Now you change your mind.
I feel a little bit of a type of way because...
All right, let's explain, babe. Here we go.
Bitch, what I was trying to say is this situation got me so wet and so dry at the same time. Exactly.
What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of So Wet, So Dry. I am one of your hosts, Autumn, like this season. I wish I wasn't, but I'm very much in my I do give a fuck era right now, and I work in entertainment.
And I'm your other host, Fiji, like the island, like the water. My outfits are not complete without a pair of platform boots, and I work in social media and marketing.
If you guys are new here to So Wet, So Dry, what we do is we explore duality through deep diving topics about sex, relationships, personal identity, all where internet trends and reality collide. We post polls for every single episode that we put out, so make sure you guys are following us on Instagram at So Wet So Dry. The O's are zeros. You can submit a story and all of that. So make sure you are following us. And also, whatever you're doing right now, wherever you guys are listening, please stop and subscribe. Follow, leave a comment, any way you guys can interact with our content. I promise it does not go unnoticed.
And today we are talking about Gen Z's obsession with aesthetic-based trends. Is this wet? Is it dry? Is Gen Z losing their minds and their identity? We don't really know, but we're going to talk about it. But before we get into all that, we're going to start the episode as we always do, talking about what we're so wet and so dry about in this very moment. So I will go first. So as you know, I went out last night and I just came across a character, okay, of a human being. And like, you know how like, I feel like when we were in Boston and everything, like people would just come up and talk to us and just like share story, like whatever. So it's just been a while since that's happened because I haven't been like out as much.
Right.
But we were out and there was this one guy that looks like, shit you not, like Timothy Chalamet, and my friend said he looked like this dude from The Challengers, which I haven't seen the movie, but he's dressed, imagine Timothy Chalamet with earrings, okay, dressed in like workout clothes and like kind of like the like sneakers you do like long jump in. I don't know how to describe it, but like very cute, okay, right? So somehow me and Sean start talking to him, but he's missing a tooth. So Timothy Chalamet without one tooth, with earrings, very pretty green eyes, okay, but country as fuck, like from like country bumfuck like Georgia. And like I always forget that I live in the South because I'm in Atlanta and I'm like around like city people all the time, so like I forget, like I literally like couldn't understand what he was really saying sometimes. Like Sean had to translate because it's such a different like accent.
Yeah.
But he was so adorable because he was just so in awe of how everybody was dressed. And he was like, yeah, I make $70,000 as a quick trip manager. I'm like, okay, that's like a good job. Like he was so sweet, and he was just like, you're so beautiful. Like he was just like, her outfit is so cool. Like the other, like he was just so like in awe and so excited to be like in the city.
Oh my God.
And the thing
he's
is,
our age?
yeah, I think he's like a couple years older, but like from country rural bumfuck, so like he, you know, his style wasn't really like there.
And no tooth.
No tooth. Yeah, he said it was so funny. I was like, what happened? He was like, oh, I fell down the stairs or something. But he was like, I don't care. I have confidence. Like, I rock it. And I was like, you know what you do? Like, but
where is the missing tooth?
Like, front tooth right here.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, he's such a fucking sweetheart.
I'm screaming.
But he listened to one of our episodes, so shout out.
He did?
Yeah, he did. But I kept thinking of this episode, honestly, because I'm like, he is so far off of the spectrum of like a TikTok aesthetic. Like, there's no aesthetic going on whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? But like, if he threw on like an e-boy fit, he would be like TikTok model vibe. So like, part of me wants to like style him and
put
like
him
whatever,
on.
right? But I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it was just fun to meet someone like just so odd and different, like out in the city.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out
That's
to him.
dope. Shout out to him. Yeah, thank you for listening. I would say I'm so wet because I got like a real massage for the first time like a week and a half ago.
Oh, yes.
And it was just like literally so nice. Like I was nervous going into it because I'm someone that like just gets dizzy easily or whatever. But I just like chugged some electrolytes and like I literally like not one part of it was bad. Not one moment was I like, ow, that hurts. Like it was 10 out of 10. Like absolutely incredible. It's the Raven Spa in Santa Monica, bitches, if you're in the West Coast. But it was just so good, and I needed it so bad.
You needed it
was
bad.
so healing because they really like remove like toxins out of you with the way they like push through your skin. And I've talked about it a little bit, but like I would love to be a massage therapist. So I was obviously like, are you guys hiring like front desk people? Like whatever. So yeah, it was like inspiring because of that, but also just like so good. And they give you tea and like apple slices. Like the apples were so good, bro. Like it was magical as fuck. Like, and it wasn't super high end, like expensive, but it was just like perfect. Like the people, everyone just super wet about it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Can they sponsor us? I want to go.
Like we need to go to a spot together, bitch. Like
I am obsessed. For So Dry, okay, so guys, like if you can't tell, I'm out of my situationship again. I'm back on the dating app, so I'm really dry about that because I feel like when you go through a breakup, like your first thing you want to do is like download the apps and get that instant like validation. Like I'm just like, tell me I'm pretty, tell me I'm hot, like da-da-da.
Keep
and
it
like
coming.
Right, we just did an episode, like the Bumble one, about dating apps. So I'm thinking about how they're fucked up. I'm like, I don't really want to be on here. But I honestly have come to the conclusion that they have the opposite effect of like actually providing validation because it's so exhausting and fatiguing to have the same conversation with people over and over again. And I don't even think they're that cute. They're going to make the conversation sexual or they want to meet up like instantly. And so I'm considering deleting them. I haven't yet, but I'm like, I went out, last weekend, this week, yesterday, like I've met people out, like there's people that I meet when I take myself outside, so I don't need them, and like it's probably shallow of me to even want that validation. Like I'm like, I should be grown enough, you know?
We should absolutely be grown enough, but I think like, yeah, exactly. It's like we think it's going to give us one thing, like validation and to feel good, but it really doesn't. And it's just like so annoying and like it just feels like I feel like if you go out, you put yourself out there, you go up to guys or girls or whomever, like that's like putting yourself out there like to date. But it's like to do it on the apps, it just feels like so much energy to like swipe and talk and constantly check it. It's just like too much.
And
like I feel
like the part of it that like I think because I love the like meeting someone, building sexual tension, like do we like each other, do we not, the flirting. On dating apps, the guys just think that you're like instantly like too into them. So it completely kills any sort of like actual fun.
Because you swiped on them.
Yes.
Like,
over
yeah,
it.
it's
Anyway.
so whack. Anyway, I am so dry just because this guy from like I went to high school with, like he was like we were friends in high school. Like he was nice to me, but there definitely was some times that like he told me I was like fat or like whatever and was like kind of a dick. But then obviously I was never fat, you guys. It's just like my school had such like skinny girls. All my friends were so skinny.
That
so I
is
did
so
kind of like
that actually happened to me in high school. What is with young boys like commenting on girls' like ew?
It's so crazy. Like the way he said it too is like so weird. But anyways, so whatever, scarred me for life. But now he's trying to hit it so fucking hard. This man is DMing me on both of my Instagram accounts, texting me like, yo, what's up? And it's just like so wild. I'm like, you were like so nasty to me in high school. And now you see like I'm doing well. Like I fucking blew up. Yeah. Like you're trying to fuck. Like, yeah, right. Like, first of all, he's not even cute. But like he was like popular, quote unquote, in school. So like I was like, damn, like the kid everyone loves is like fucking thinks I'm fat. Like, you know? But now it's just like, yeah, bro. Like, but he's just irritating.
That's
me.
kind
like,
of wet,
and he has
though,
a girlfriend
because it's like,
too.
Now you can't get me, bitch. Like, look at the table.
Exactly. And I'm like, bro, honestly, you're fat now. Like, oh God, like I'm not even trying to be fat phobic, but like For real though.
Right,
I'm
if
like,
we're gonna call
you're
it
gonna
what it
say
is.
I am. I'm like, you are as well, sir. Thank you. Anyways, so let's get into the episode, guys. As Fiji said, today we're talking about TikTok aesthetic trends and why people are so obsessed with it and what are the good things about it. There definitely are some good things, but we definitely will be diving into the not so good things because it's just kind of crazy. And people are definitely speaking out about how it is detrimental, like online and stuff. So we're going to get into all of that. So first, what are these TikTok aesthetics you speak of? This article says TikTok aesthetics, Gen Z's catch-all term for unique subcultures, are reinventing self-expression. Whether creators are capturing their favorite aesthetic themed outfits, makeup looks, or room decorations, these videos constantly push the boundaries of modern style by broadcasting their unique flair to millions of adoring followers. Rather than restricting themselves to normal forms of inspiration, TikTokers look anywhere from childhood nostalgia to classic literature to add a taste of whimsy to their worldview. So this is obviously a very positive paragraph on what these aesthetics are. And I do think there are some positive things to them, but to say that, like, I don't know, like, constantly push the boundaries of modern style, like, that's kind of going above and beyond to me. Like,
Yeah.
this is modern style.
It is
like, I feel
modern
like
style.
it's so mainstream now. And I think it starts smaller, but it's like TikTok aesthetic things are literally in like mainstream news stations. Like,
Yeah.
they talk about these things, so it really has like reached a point like beyond just TikTok. Obviously, if you're not on TikTok or like not online, you're not gonna know, which I feel like your friend, like you said, he probably doesn't know what
no
a
clue.
coquette look
No
is.
clue.
But basically, we did a lot of research on all the different types of trends. So I do want to just like read off like a brief list of the kinds of things we're talking about. And then we'll go from there. So we got the clean girl, the sad girl, the downtown girl, the rich girl, the soft girl, Y2K, e-girl, mob wife, dark academia, cottagecore, coquette, Nike girl, and then we got some like strawberry makeup. There's like tomato makeup, glazed donut, latte makeup, blueberry milk. Like, you guys, it's literally insane. No makeup, hot Cheeto girl, coastal grandmother, Barbiecore, maximalism, baddie, vanilla girl, and then Fiji mentioned one that's like quiet money or whatever.
Yeah.
So as you can see, there's so many, and this is definitely not even close to like a full list of these. But it's just insane of how many there really are. So we went to our audience and asked you guys, have you ever identified with one of these TikTok trendy aesthetics? And 42% of y'all said yes, and 58% of y'all said no, which I thought was interesting. But I do feel like our audience maybe does kind of like to like do their own thing. Like, I feel like a lot of people that follow us are super unique and like also creators and stuff. But it's hard not to get wrapped up in it. Like, it's everywhere, you know?
Yeah. Do you think you've ever like identified with one completely?
I don't think I've ever identified with one completely. Like, I do love the like coquette type of look with like the pink and the bows, but I never like would take on a whole identity like that. Like, I feel like our whole thing is like we don't have just one.
Yeah.
And like, so like, you know, because it is like the clean girl, it's like not just a look, but it's also like a lifestyle and like the things you do. And like, I could never minimize myself to that.
Yeah, because I think that's the interesting thing. Like, some of these, like the clean girl aesthetic is very much like an aesthetic, but also a lifestyle. And same with like hot Cheeto girl, I feel like is much more lifestyle based than like style based. Versus mob wife is more like style based. So like, it's weird because some of them are just like how you dress, and some of them are also like your routine, like your habits, like that type of stuff.
There's a scale. There's a scale. And I think some of them do give off like kind of a certain vibe, like especially with like sad girl. And like we've talked about the mysterious girl, obviously.
And lover girl.
Yeah, so it's like some of them kind of do give off like some sort of vibe, but it is very just kind of like superficial, you know? Like overall.
Yeah.
But we obviously there's so many, but we wanted to ask you guys like what was kind of your favorite. So we gave you guys 4 to choose from. And so we asked you which of the following is your favorite trendy aesthetic. And 38% said sad girl, 31% said mob wife, 23% said coquette, and 8% said clean girl. Which sad girl won? Like, does that surprise you? Like, I don't know.
Yes and no. I feel like a good amount of like my followers at least like are like more alternative
like emo
based, and I feel like that's probably the one I would have identified the most with, where I let the style become part of my identity, like especially in college.
Low key, bro.
Like I think it was also the music that I was listening to, because I was very into China, not like Black China, China Rogers, which like rest in peace, but she's like an emo rapper. Like I was very into like that type of music. I wore like, you know, a lot of like goth like eyeliner, but like I think I mixed it up in other ways. But I do think, one, I was very sad and emo at the time, so it just helped to like, but like I wanted to wear all black. Like now that I'm honestly like a lot happier, I don't identify with sad girl as much. Like I put on more like light colored styles and different styles, because like one, I feel more comfortable like mixing it up in my identity, but 2, like I don't associate my identity as much with just being sad and emo, you know?
Yeah. Because I feel like you were a good combination of like sad and mysterious, because I don't think you really came across as sad. Like you came across as like super like strong, just like a presence, like, you know. But I totally get it. And I think like, because you kind of liked Mob Wife too, like you put me on to that one. But I also just like clean girl aesthetic gives very much like white girl Starbucks vibes. Yeah. And like personally, like, no, I mean, I do enjoy the casual Starbucks.
Well, and the thing about like some of them, I mean, even Mob Wife too, like a lot of them have been like criticized for like cultural appropriation and stuff too. Because
and
like
Hot Cheeto Girl is low key racist as fuck.
Yeah, and like the slick back like hair look, like that was like mostly like black women or Latino women that were doing that. And then even like the lip liner, like the dark lip liner, which I've done before with like no like clear or like really nude lips, that was really popular. So like some of these like looks have taken pieces from like different cultures or different like communities and kind of reappropriated them or really like whitewashed them. So it's like we're gonna get into that a little
bit too. Yeah. So and also one of our listeners did submit a story that said, I'm a fan of Y2K, but I was before TikTok. I've been on it since Tumblr. And that was like in my like research and some articles we pulled, like it was a lot of that. It's like this used to be like kind of like a Tumblr thing, like to have this sort of like style mood board type vibes. But TikTok is just like a crazy fucking platform. And like we're not going to get into it in this episode, but like overall, like TikTok is like making people like so fucking insecure. Like while I was looking for this episode, it's like what's also trending is like having legging legs, like if your legs look good in leggings.
I can't.
And it's like girls being like, when I see a girl with legging legs, like rolling their eyes, I'm like, are we like 12? Like, what the fuck? Like,
and even like,
do I know what you mean?
Face, like stuff like that was like weird.
It's just a lot.
But I do feel like the aesthetic stuff like probably did start more with Tumblr, because now that I think about it, like I feel like my style back then was much more grunge, which is like 90s. So it makes sense that like Y2K in early 2000s is popular now, because I read something one time that it's usually like whatever,
like 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. Later. Whatever.
Yeah, I've
like,
read that too.
20 years, because those were the older kids when you were growing up. So that's like what you look up to.
Isn't that so funny?
It is like, and we're more like, we're kind of in the middle, because like I always loved like 90s grunge, like Nirvana, like all that type of stuff. But then also I loved like Mary-Kate and Ashley, like Lizzie McGuire, like those types
like
of styles.
2000s. Yeah.
Yeah. And people even get mad about Y2, because Y2K is technically like year 2000, but then there's also McBling, which is like Paris Hilton and like all this. So there's different like names for like all this stuff, but
and there's even like 2010s too, which feels like
and I actually
it honestly Yeah, it's weird.
I did like a whole deep dive on the Jersey Shore style, which is like coming back too, because that's like 2010s, 2008, whatever. But the big furry boots are really popular right now. And that's kind of like,
Oh my God, you're so right.
Yeah.
I forgot that was like Jersey Shore.
It was
thing.
all
they
Jersey
would
Shore.
wear those.
and when I watched the video, maybe I'll try to plug it, but like they were talking about how the Jersey Shore style came from like, honestly, like Mob Wife, because it's like Italian style, and also
Right.
they pulled things and appropriated things from like Black culture, where they had like a lot more chains and like the like even the like wife beaters and like stuff like that. So it like all style influences each other, and that makes sense, but labeling it and like taking it on as your personality is like, I don't know, a little weird.
And then it like going viral because a white girl does it is just like crazy, you know? And that's like, I know. But let's break some of these down. We'll start with Sad Girl. We found this article that talked a little bit about like what the Sad Girl is exactly. Similarly targeted towards teen girls and young women, Sad Girl aesthetic is characterized by sadness, isolation, and you guessed it, a heroin chic beauty standard from the photos to the captions. Its followers believe there's empowerment in women expressing their darkest feelings, which can be true in a society that still stigmatizes mental health and women's emotions. However, there is a major issue in the performance of those emotions versus the actual experience of mental health issues amongst teens. A 2015 Hello Giggles article noted that sad girls have blurred the lines between those who latch onto the dark aesthetic photos popping up and those who are struggling with mental illness and a deeper, more pervasive kind of sadness. It's not the entities within the culture that are particularly unhealthy. It's the use of these interests to create an aesthetic fad that utilizes the hallmarks of teen depression or depression in general, while simultaneously, intentionally or not, parodying and alienating teens and young adults who are struggling with mental illness and find solace in identifying or creating the art that sad girls use purely for its cool cash.
Cool cash.
Wrote Hannah May. Even more disturbing that teens using depression to be cool is the possibility of companies marketing depression to those teens to make a quick buck. So I get how this is kind of like, okay, like why you got to take it that far though. But it's like honestly so true. And I feel like it's like, because I've identified with the sad girl aesthetic and low-key the sad girl that like didn't want to eat aesthetic.
Yeah.
Because that was like a whole vibe on Tumblr in like 2000s too. And like the heroin chic and like a sad girl with like a cigarette and it's like dark and like her makeup is like looks perfect, but like she's crying a little bit. And you look on TikTok and it's a lot of like that girl Maddie from Euphoria who was like going through an abusive relationship and crying. And it's just like it really is like glorifying this whole thing. And I think it's good, like, obviously, on the one hand, it's, like, empowering. It's okay to show your emotions. But I don't think that's really, like, how an aesthetic can, like, it's not that powerful. It's a look. Like, how can that really empower people? I don't know.
It's weird because I do feel like when I was, like, sad girl aesthetic vibes, like, my body was very heroin chic at the time. And I do think I took on... One, because I was already struggling with depression, but, like, I was doing a good amount of drugs. Like, I was, like, very sad, sleepy. Like, it, like, made... And I felt like because I felt like that, I always liked, like, the more emo, dark, sad girl styles, but, like, they went hand in hand. So, like, it is, like, a little weird to me, I think, when people, like, appropriate it or, like, they're... Because, I don't know, part of me is, like, you don't have to be sad to dress like a sad girl, emo, whatever. But at the same time, when I was very sad, that's, like, very much what I was associating with. But I also think it's just, like, maybe when you're young... you get confused and you don't know that you can do like both. But like, I think that also started on Tumblr a lot too, because all those like sad poems and the aesthetic cutting yourself and like that type of stuff.
The aesthetic cutting yourself was crazy.
Insane. And like bulimia, anorexia, like posted,
it
like
was everywhere. And then you had like lesbian porn and that was great. But like, I feel like online, it's like you see someone else like crying real tears. Like you can tell it's not performative. It's like, that does make people like feel like community sometimes, but it's like social media in general is just like so filtered, and like you don't know what people are editing and whatever they're doing. So it's just hard to like genuinely believe that like sad girl aesthetic was created to like empower women. Like I really just think it was like a look, and maybe it does empower women in a sense where they relate to other people that like are kind of in that era, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
But I just would never like advertise it as something like so empowering.
Well, and I think it also comes into the whole like appropriating things, because like say there's this really cool girl who's posting all this sad shit and has this style or whatever, and then other girls want to do it and then emulate it. That's where it gets scary, because they start,
rapid fire.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to be heroin chic too. Like that's not good.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the mob wife a little bit, and essentially like how the mob wife happened. It was right after Clean Girl, and one bitch got on TikTok and was like, Clean Girl's out, mob wife is in, like everyone go fucking change your whole lives immediately. So I'm just like, this is like insane to me, honestly. But so here's a TikTok just showing kind of like one example of like the mob wife style.
Oh, you want mob wife aesthetic? Okay. I can give you mob wife aesthetic.
And then, so this article said, TikTok's algorithm is designed to bring these declarative, catchy aesthetics to the top of our feed, and these trends are often criticized for their shallowness and disconnect from anything anyone is actually doing or feeling in real life. The mob wife aesthetic is just the latest to surface, but it does stand out against trends of late for its real life roots and culture and its mature, brazen attitude, which feels like a shift. And then it talks about like The Sopranos, which is like this HBO series. And basically one of those actors, I believe, said that the mob wife, by comparison, is a little more grown up. And she was comparing it to like Clean Girl vibes. Mm-hmm. It's right there in the name. She's a wife. She's not a girl. She's a woman. She's confident in her sexuality. She put ZD on the table, and she's well aware of how the world works and how to bend it to her advantage. Trivieri put it best when she said, Carmela Soprano walked so you bitches could run. So I'm just like, bro, what do you think?
I kind of love. Have you ever seen The Sopranos?
No.
It's an old show. Like it's about
It's been around forever.
Yeah, it's honestly like an iconic show. Like I need to go back and watch the whole thing again. But I love the mob wife aesthetic, and I kind of like see how it got popular after Clean Girl, because I feel like mob wives, like one, like they said, like they're more like women, like they're more like. They talk back more, like they have their shit together. They're low-key manipulating the men behind the scenes, but like, you know, they play like a secondary role, but they also have it all together. I don't know. But like I also love this aesthetic just because like I always got a lot of clothes from my like Nana's closet, and she's not Italian, but her like ex-husband was Italian, and she grew up like she was like wearing clothes in that era. So like a lot of like fur coats, like big sunglasses. Yep. She always had long nails. Like, and I'm from like Connecticut, like the Northeast, like a lot of Italians like where I'm from and stuff. So like I feel like that type of Long Island like mob wife, like Italian like northern woman, I just have always really loved that style and that like aesthetic and that attitude, and that influenced a lot of like Jersey Shore style and like whatever. So I think it's less about, you know, calling it mob wife is just, oh, we have this fun like this label for it, but I've always loved like those aesthetics, you know? Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, you put me onto this shit like because like of TikTok and everything, and I do think it's like a good look. I just think like overall, like I think also I've just been like deep diving this shit, and it's just kind of like scary like how fast this shit takes off and like switches. Yeah. So to me it's just all kind of like the same, but I feel like when it comes to like Clean Girl versus like this, like I would way rather wear like a fur coat. Like I think it's like hotter, you know?
Yeah. And I think the thing about the algorithms is important too, because it said like the algorithms are designed to bring these catchy like phrases, because you know how your algorithm like adapts to what you watch or whatever. I feel like it's made more of the like reason for us to label these aesthetics than it
Right.
ever did before. You know what I'm saying? Like before
Yeah,
that would just
yeah.
be like thrifted style or something like that,
Right.
you know?
I know. And then this last one we'll kind of like describe is the clean girl. Basically, this article said, if by some chance the clean girl aesthetic has yet to grace your grid, think of someone you know who has their life completely together. Now imagine them as an outfit, maximal in regards to their career goals. That girl, the clean girl, is a minimalist when it comes to beauty and fashion. Generally, she's early to rise and early to bed. She journals and meditates every morning and also performs her skincare routine religiously. She's the dictionary definition of cool, calm, and collected, and her closet consists of pieces that are simultaneously comfortable and sophisticated. While many of today's fashion it girls are proponents of the trending aesthetic, they aren't the first. Black women and Latinas have been doing it for ages. And the late Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, who perhaps the look's original poster girl back in the 90s, just like we're saying, it's all like this nostalgic shit. Bessette Kennedy mastered clean yet sophisticated styling through staple pieces in a neutral color palette, says Victoria Barbara, a luxury fashion and beauty influencer. Her looks are relevant today because they are timeless. Think polished hair in a slicked back bun, chunky gold jewelry, and very natural skin makeup with a dewy finish. And I feel like it would be better to look up to like a specific person and be like, I love her look and like her vibe, but it's like the way the clean girl, like I don't know, because Mob Wife has it too. It has that kind of like edge and vibe to it. But this one just about like going to bed early, like it's giving like she's wholesome, like she's almost Christian, like she doesn't like mess up or make mistakes. And I'm just like, people like really live by this shit. Like we talk about it like it's a trend, but like people for real, like, and we'll get into it. It's like that's how they identify and like that's it. They're just a clean girl. They live by all of that. And it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I feel like this one comes off of like girl boss, like in a way, but it's like the girl boss that wants to be a wife and not necessarily like corporate core, but she wants to go running and have her like kale smoothie and like whatever. But I did kind of like, because that girl trend is a little different than clean girl, but they're so connected. And this one was really, really big on YouTube. I remember like, I want to say it was like 2021. I was watching like a lot of vloggers at the time, and they were vloggers that I liked because I liked to watch their routine because it motivated me to like, you know, work out, eat a healthy breakfast, like those types of things. But they definitely push like that girl and the clean girl as like a lifestyle. And so it's weird because it's like when I watched those type of YouTubers, I never really liked that type of style. Like I'll wear like athletic wear during the week, but you know I'm not really looking clean. Like I'm like my camera's not on during my meetings, like whatever. But like parts of it I did like because I did find it like motivational content to be like, oh, you know, it's nice to wake up, like waking up at 5 a.m. was such a fucking trend across YouTubers, and like reading at night and all of these things. But like it's ridiculous the level that they take it in order to look like they have their life together. And again, we're like consuming content. So like, did they really wake up at 5 a.m. or did they set up their camera at 8 p.m. and record their like 5 a.m. wake up? We don't fucking know.
We don't fucking know, and we're never gonna know. I used to watch this girl on TikTok because it was just like so like what's the word? Like I just couldn't not watch. And she was like watch me do my like 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. routine, like girl boss era. And it's just like, holy shit. And then she like realized that like she wasn't getting enough sleep and like actually developed like a health problem because she was doing that.
I watched one of my favorite YouTubers go through that too. Like it was like you kind of like watched her in real time taking on too much, waking up at 5 a.m., doing like too many workouts. And like she started breaking out. And then she like moved and she had to like redo her life. Like you kind of watch that, but it's like that's normal, that's human. Like I know it's like successful people wake up early, like a routine is good. I have a pretty solid routine that I follow that helps me a lot. But I think like you said, like when it's just like becomes this like your whole personality type of thing and you're pushing it on other people, it's just another bar for women to reach that we're never fucking going to. So
dude, exactly. Like if there's not enough, like It's literally exhausting.
Yeah.
So basically, TikTok micro aesthetics like the coastal grandmother, clean girl, and mob wife have not only captivated Gen Z, but become almost as ubiquitous as the app itself. The popularity of these hyper specific trends is not only indicative of the generation's ability to shape culture, but also embrace of collectivism. With a whole generation so easily shifting their identities to embrace quickly changing fads, one wonders what happened to individuality and why does Gen Z feel the need to conform? So that's what we're gonna get into next is like, is Gen Z having identity problems? Like, why do we feel the need to like follow these trends? And like, you know, it's fine to like a trend and like do the look, but I mean like really dedicate your life to like this sort of lifestyle. Like, why is that happening to so many people? So we asked you guys in the polls, we said, do you think Gen Z is having an extra hard time with identity? 58% said yes, 23% said same as other generations, and 19% said no. The answer is yes, like for sure. The answer is yes.
I think I voted yes, but
Now you change your mind.
I feel a little bit of a type of way because
All right, let's explain, babe.
yeah,
Here we go.
the paragraph before, it's like, it's weird because when you think back in like society and how there was like just MTV and there was just like this radio station and just these top artists that people are listening to, like there was a monoculture, like, you know, Hollister, Abercrombie, like just one culture and aesthetic. Like I feel like we are very privileged in the way that we have like access to all these different trends and styles and ways to express ourselves, and we can bounce between them. You know, like there's not just one version of being cool. Like you could be a clean girl and be cool, but you could also be a mob wife and be cool. Like you could also be a sad girl and be cool. So like part of me is like, I don't know if it's an identity crisis as much as like part of that is going to happen when you're changing your style and you're exposed to so much. But I think that's are we overexposed to too much? Yes. And is a lot of it capitalism? But at the same time, I think it develops more opportunity for people to like grow their identity and like figure out who they are versus just having one monoculture pushed to them. And if they're not that, then they're fuck else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to give my rebuttal, but it's later in the episode a little bit. So I think we're going to
Okay.
But I've never thought about it that way. And I think you and I have never been people, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that is like, well, maybe in high school I was, but like someone like that wanted to have the top trends. Like we wanted, like, cause I'm down for any trend. Like I don't care where it ranks, but I think like certain people do, and they want to have the top trends. So since it changes all the time, it's like people feel like stressed out, like they need to adjust to the culture, but they don't need to. Like, why do they feel like they do?
I almost feel like maybe, I'm sure there's definitely people that feel like that probably, but I feel like because there's so many different aesthetics, it's almost the opposite.
They shouldn't feel like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like I remember in high school, like I always liked to be trendy. Like I definitely always liked to have style and like put my stuff together, whatever. But there were certain like big trends that were like cool, like Michael Kors bags. Like I remember Michael Kors bags were like a big thing. Like every girl had a purse.
And like Coach bags. Or Longchamp bags.
Oh, we didn't have Vera Bradley though. Like I definitely had one of those, and I never even really liked them. But like like those, those types of things. And my mom got me one, but it was like yellow. Like I really didn't like it. I was like, this isn't the cool one, whatever. But also like Uggs, like Bear Paws, and like the whatever, that type of stuff. Like I feel like it was just much more of like a singular lane. I don't know. I see both.
Because I also think like for us, like being 26, like think about like an 18-year-old, like they're not as like developed to be able to understand, like, you know, like, I don't know. I feel like there shouldn't be this pressure, but like there definitely is to like kind of conform. But I agree with you. And I also think Gen Z is definitely a generation that isn't like conforming to be like everyone else in terms of the generations above. Like, I think they're very proud to like be different and have different views.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, and maybe like because there was only like Hollister, Abercrombie, like Forever 21, like those types of places, it's like we didn't really realize like that we were all the same, and now like because like I don't know what I'm trying to say,
like,
but
I remember in high school, like I feel like I've always had like I liked more of an alternative style, but I remember being in high school and that wasn't as cool. Like it was like kind of post emo, like all those bands type of stuff, and it was much more like Katy Perry era, like floral boho, like Lana Del Rey, like whatever. So I remember feeling like I wanted to experiment with my style, but I like it wasn't cool because of the people you hang out with. But I have come across like teenagers and 18-year-olds on my feed where it's like one girl is like sad girl emo and the other girl is like clean girl, and they're like, oh, when you have your clean girl to your sad girl. Like I feel like because there's like, you know, that girl goes off of clean girl, goes off of girl boss, goes off of whatever, like it's its own lane, versus like sad girl and mob wife might be closer related, and like e-girl. So it's like even if you have a different genre of it, like there's still ways to grow and be cool while like existing together and not like going into the main one. I don't know.
And I think it's fun to like try out different looks and vibes. I think it's just about how seriously you take it.
Yeah.
And if you feel like the pressure to have all of the products or the resources for that specific look, like that's a problem. Yeah. But like if it's just fun, like it should just be fun. You know, there's nothing, I mean, there are some things wrong with it, but you know.
Yeah.
But we asked you guys, like, why do you think Gen Z feels the need to conform? And 35% of y'all said loneliness, yearning for community. 35% also said social media makes it too easy. 20% said the constant product ads. And 10% said they don't feel the need to conform. And I definitely think people are yearning for community. I think we are like, you know, pandemic sort of generation type bitches. Like I don't know, like a lot of people like in Gen Z like missed out on their graduation, whether it was like high school or this, and just like community things like that. And like we really all feel like we want like 2 years of our life back because like we really didn't like do anything. And I think TikTok creates great community. I really do. But I think exactly like 50% of the other stuff is like it creates like bad community. Yeah. So I think it's like both. And I do think social media makes it look very like glamorous to be a certain look when maybe it's like maybe that girl's just pretty. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Like, is it style or is she just pretty? Like, I remember that
pretty?
Was like a whole.
That's
or
what
is she
I
skinny?
think all the
is
time.
Is that an outfit or is she just skinny? That was like another one that was going around because it's like I remember when I was like really skinny and didn't have as many curves. Like, it's like you could put on a fucking like giant t-shirt and like look good. And like it's chic. It falls on your body different. Like when you have curves, you have to dress to your curves. Like whatever, but. I'm between like social media makes it too easy and the constant product ads because I do think they like latch on, like the companies will latch on, or their marketing department is so savvy that they name it this aesthetic. They're like, oh, this is the fucking fern aesthetic. I don't know.
And we're going to get into marketing a little bit and how they like full on like this is, and I feel like it's also the age of like, not, I mean, I don't know the exact term, you probably do, but it's not like direct marketing. Like you think about Bloom, like people are like sometimes
Bloom?
they're like, I take my Bloom, like the
Bloom?
greens.
No,
I've never seen an ad for Bloom before.
We must have different algorithms. What is that?
It's like, babe, it's so popular. I swear to fucking God. It's like greens, like people make green juice. Whatever, but all of their ads, like, they're just in the shot. It's not necessarily like, buy this product. Well, so I feel like there's a lot of that going on.
Like, now it's like a thing on all platforms that you are supposed to disclose if it's a paid promotion. The thing that's tricky, though, and I've been getting so many emails lately on my personal Instagram where it's like they want to gift you something in exchange for a post. And that's a little iffy because they're not paying you, they're gifting you, but with the obligation to post. So it's like this weird, but you're technically supposed to disclose that it's an ad on everything because people, like, audiences should be aware that they're being marketed to. But yeah,
they have that. They have paid partnership, but they just don't say the words bloom. The video is something so random, but the bloom is just like sitting on the table in direct vision, and it says paid partnership. Like, it's just bizarre. And I feel like a lot of these trends are like get ready with me's where they like have makeup products. So a lot of it is about advertising too.
Well, and I think, I was going to say, I feel like because like we're in the age of social media where like before, because I can geek out on all this stuff, but before advertising was like Mad Men, like literal just like billboards and like TV commercials. Like now we have to get so much more creative with like the way that you market because like your content's at you like 24/7, and marketing has become like so much more lifestyle based because of these influencers and stuff. So it's almost like for me as a marketing person, it's kind of smart to do that because it's like when you have constant like ads in your face all the time, this is like adding an aura of like mystery to it. Like, oh, this person's just cool, therefore this product is cool, and it's just part of their regular routine, you know? So
No, seriously though, it's like effortless.
Yeah.
And it works. Like, it does work. And we're already kind of talking about it, but like talking about sort of now like going into the wet parts about this kind of thing. And I'm really glad you brought up, like, it is a really amazing thing that like we have so many like options to look to. And it's obviously like some of these looks, like, you do have to have money to like get it.
Yeah,
I mean, I would
definitely.
say so, but some of them not necessarily.
Well,
like,
because of Shein too, like, I mean, it's easy to like
and
put
other
a bunch of
websites.
shit in your cart and like it add up like very quickly. But if you want to do a mini haul with $50, you could get a whole new aesthetic for like a week. I don't know.
Stop. I know. It's crazy. But this article kind of touched on the whole, like, you know, Gen Z is yearning for community. So it says, while the trends that Gen Z latch onto are often criticized for their homogeneity, they are a source of connection and community after a significant period of isolation. They symbolize a sense of kinship for Gen Z because when we participate in these trends, even if it's from the comfort of our own bedrooms, we know we aren't alone. And I feel like that is true. Like, it does definitely bring community. If you see a bitch like dressed up like a fairy girl, like, that's not everyone's vibe.
Yeah.
But other fairy girls that like that will be like, oh my God, like, you know, representation of the fairies. Like, so it is like a good thing for sure. And I just want to, like, we can talk about other wet things we have from it. Like, I definitely feel like there's enough trends where, like, with body types, it is kind of like diverse in that sense. I don't feel like a lot of times you have to like look a certain way, like it's like either super skinny or like BBL, like whatever. But I do feel like all of these aesthetics, like maybe like I don't think like certain ones that I would say like coquette, like I don't feel like I have to be super skinny to wear like those types of things, like. I don't know. So I feel like that's good. And I feel like there is a variety. The dark academia one was something I learned about. And I just feel like I would be so attracted to a girl like that. It's also in like the sad girl like area. Yeah. But they're just like super smart, tortured, hot, wear black in the library with candles. Like, so I don't know. Like, there's definitely a lot of wet things about it. And I feel like when you do kind of think about the inner workings of everything and think of capitalism and overconsumption, it's like hard to kind of see what's good about it. Like, I feel like everything just feels bad today. Like, especially like you brought up Shein. It's like people fucking hate Shein and they should hate Shein. Like, Shein's not, but it's like, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm a little iffy. Maybe I feel more wet about this overall than you do because I feel like I have like a good amount of things that I can find. Like, because it's like, one, people are coming out of the pandemic where they're wearing pajamas and they're in their house like all day, right? But like in that era, there were a lot of influencers that came up just from like styling the things in their closet and getting ready for like no reason kind of thing. And I think like post-pandemic, people really wanted to like dress up and play around with style like a lot more because they weren't wearing things or they weren't going to school, they weren't going to work, like nothing. And then like also from like the styling aspect of things, like I feel like everyone, when you like figure out like what styles you like, you're gonna pull inspiration from like a TV show that you watch, like a mood board, like a Pinterest thing, like a TikTok, like whatever. And I think that it's almost like I get what you're saying about like 18-year-olds and like young people like too quickly like identifying, like putting their identity into it. But like to me, like style and like trends are so much of like an art that it's like, okay, you might think dark academia is this tortured girl, this sad girl, this whatever. You watch this movie, this show makes you think of it. But like the idea is to like channel that in your outfit, but not take it on as an identity. And like tomorrow you could be like coquette or whatever. Like it's a creative act.
Doing that.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't doing that. Like people are like,
but like, are they? I don't know.
Bro, watch the videos in the fucking drive, babe. Like, yes, like, and maybe they're being performative. Like maybe they're acting like they're taking it on too much, but it's like we'll get into it. It's like people, they're like afraid to like be both. Like they want to just be one aesthetic and like truly live that lifestyle, and like they are kind of rigid, like in a sense sometimes, but it is about like how you take it. And I do agree with everything that you're saying, and I feel that way too. Like I do think it is like an art form, and it's really, and it's creative. Like at the end of the day, it's creative. Like it really is. And it's Tumblr-esque. Like I do fuck with it too. Like I definitely don't hate it. I'm just kind of like,
yeah, like in some ways it makes me like a little like sad or like iffy or whatever, because it's like I think style and like styling and like clothes is such like a creative art. Like people make their own clothes, they style like whatever. And so to almost be like, oh, like if you just like put on this aesthetic or you're like switching too much or whatever, then like you're too easily influenced or what, because I think it should evolve. You know, but like I feel you about like someone sticking to like a lane and making that their entire personality. I guess it's like those lines of where like your identity starts and ends in your style, because like your style is an expression of your identity, but it, you know.
Yeah, and I think like maybe like most of the people that we would like hang out with and like people that are like maybe closer to our age, like I really love the idea of like being coquette and like super princessy than like popping out in like black leather dominatrix, and like we both do shit like that. Like maybe you don't go super princessy, but like you have other
I have
vibes,
like girly stuff, like more so recently, I feel like.
Recently, and it's
probably
like even just
because
like
of TikTok.
colors.
Like I would say honestly, probably I've been influenced by coquette, by clean girl, by all of those things to dress more feminine in ways. So that's why I'm like, oh, like it's a good thing, because I'm like, you know.
Yeah. But I think it's all about perspective, and I think I was influenced too because I watched like 3 specific YouTube videos that were kind of like hating on it.
Yeah.
So I think it is kind of just about like, you know, like maybe I would think differently, and that's why it's really hard like consuming content, because you want to have your own beliefs. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like, especially when it's women, I'm like, damn, she ate that up. Like she's so right. Like I'm like gullible in that sense. Yeah. But that's why, like, I love, like, how we have this, like, back and forth. Because, like, I really, like, you have to think about it from all aspects. And we aren't people that, like, eat up a trend and, like, make it our whole identity. But I just think, like, on other sides of TikTok that, like, we're not on, like, people are going a little crazy. Yeah, like, definitely. A little bit crazy. So now we're going to get into what's dry about these aesthetic trends. Even though Fiji and I don't see eye to eye completely, this episode should be, like, we disagree. But we asked you guys, which of the following is not true about these TikTok aesthetic trends? And 51% said they are a personality type. 44% said they are a certain lifestyle. 5% said they're about how you look. And 0% said they give a certain vibe. So again, it was what is not true. And so it's true that it's not a personality vibe. It does, I mean, it's not a personality trait. It does kind of give a vibe, but there's no depth. There's no real substance there. So just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not a personality trait. I feel like it's not really a certain lifestyle either, but I feel like it's even more not a personality trait. The vibe thing be pissing me off, though, because I swear, like, because, you know, I wear the platform boots, or, like, I've had edgier goth styles. Like, I've had, like, guys say weird things to me, like, thinking that I'm, like, way more into BDSM and shit like that than I am. And it's like, is that my fault for wearing too much black and leather, or is that their fault for projecting on what they think I am? Like, because, you know, I feel like I could have dominatrix like, I could do that, but, like, that's not, like, just completely me, you know? So, like, the vibe thing's annoying.
It's just a look.
Right.
It's the same thing, whereas if someone's dressed like a quote-unquote hoe and you think she's trying to fuck, it's like, why do our outfits, like, say, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, outfits should make a statement and say something about you, but not your whole identity. Like, it's not that deep.
Right.
You know? It's an outfit at the end of the day. It's self-expression, but it's not... You know, and sometimes it can be, and that's a good thing. But to have people put projections on you because of your aesthetic or your look is a problem.
Yeah.
And honestly, we got this whole episode idea from Salem Tovar's YouTube video.
I love her.
Which is called Gen Z. Well, so you disagree with her?
I probably have watched this before, yeah. But,
exactly. So she said... Gen Z's aesthetic obsession and search for identity is tiring, ... So basically, I'll just, like, recap some things that she said. But basically, like, a big point of it is, like, the lifespan of these trends are, like, so short. Like, some are even as short as, like, 2 days, and it goes super viral. And then another micro aesthetic, like, will come up. And, like, emphasis on, like, people eat this shit up. Like, they love it. They're glued to their screens. They want to buy the products. And... it just kind of, like, overall encompasses this problem of, like, TikTok pressures people to fit into a box, and they pressure people to pay for certain products within that box. Like, these aesthetics are a lot about products.
Yeah.
Like, if you take it to that level, like, they have a name, they have a look, they have a vibe, but no personality. Like, the Stanley Cup is like, you know, the Stanley Cup, right?
Yeah.
It's like the clean girl, and the same thing with Bloom and, like, all this, like, hashtag mindset. Like, I have my $50 water cup here. Like, it's all just, like, I don't know. It's just, like, it's just kind of a lot. And I do picture, like, blonde girls, like, doing this stuff. Like, that is the image I have in my mind. I don't have the, like, super creative, like, e-girl in my mind. I don't know. That's just what stands out to me, because I think of, like, the clean girl TikToks, and it's always, like, a blonde girl, like, with freckles, and she's, like, sun-kissed, like, every single time.
Yeah.
And, like, to hear it, like, it comes from, like, Latina culture and, like, looks from the 90s. It's just, like, what else is
it's
new,
like
guys?
It's like remember when we were in high school, it was like the basic white girl trend kind of thing, where it was like the Starbucks cup and, like, whatever. I feel like clean girl is like basic white girl that, like, met a Latina friend and liked how she did her hair. Like, it's literally,
and, like, elevated herself a little bit.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the overconsumption thing and the marketing thing is, like, huge. Like, because I think that's the scary part, where it's like you said, like, people feel this pressure to, like, buy these new products to, like, fit in with the trend. And, like, yeah, like, we're just constantly being marketed to 24/7, and, like, the trend cycles are so fast. So it's like that part is definitely dry. Like, I get you.
And the more people that have clean girl products, and the more people you see it, it's like the more it spreads, and, like, you don't, like, the Stanley Cup, like,
the
Stanley
Cup is a thing. Like, there's that podcast, Sounds Like a Cult. I don't know if you've listened to them, but they did an episode.
Yes.
Yeah, they did an episode about the Stanley Cup, and it's, like, crazy. Like, it's, like, bordering on, like, collectible culture, kind of like when the Starbucks cups were a thing and everyone had their fancy little Starbucks cups, but, like, people literally have, like, 20, 30, 50 of these cups, and, like, get, like, the Taylor Swift ones, like, immediately sold out, like, all of that kind of stuff.
Dude, like, my little sister's 18. That's all the bitch wanted for Christmas. That and Summer Fridays lip gloss. I bought her 2 of those. That's all she wanted. I fell victim to the TikTok, like, she wanted fucking Summer Fridays. I was like, okay, bitch, like, $30 chapstick.
But, like, don't you think it's kind of like a young person thing. Like, it's like when you're young, you're in school with the same group of people every fucking day.
Yeah.
And like you see them have the cool in things, you want the cool in things, you're figuring out your identity. Like, I think part of it is just like kids are like growing up online, and we're also watching them grow up online and figuring out their identities, versus us, we're 26. Like, are there trends that we're like, oh my God, I need to have that? Do they get us sometimes? Like, totally. But like, it's not the same.
Exactly.
You know?
Like, the younger generation is what I worry about.
Yeah. Is that a Stanley Cup? No.
Bitch, this is from Ralph's, which is it's the West Coast grocery store. What it like Stop and Shop, like that type of vibe.
We have
like
Publix.
This was literally
and
$8.
Okay, yeah, and it's probably essentially the same thing.
It's the exact same thing. My water's cold as fuck.
Right.
Bitch. It's ice.
Right. Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, it's just insane. And this TikToker, her is called The Hood Crochet Princess. And she basically posted a video with like music and words. So I'm just going to read the quote, what she said. And this is about beach girl aesthetic, like beach girl shit. She said, why does no one talk about how toxic the beach girl influencer culture is? The always seemingly happy, perfect relationship at the beach 24/7, constantly pushing swimsuits and gray bandit clothes on some influencer trip, perfect house aesthetic, perfect life girl. They're actually starting to give me the ick with this content that's supposed to make you feel good, but really is just phenomenal marketing. And honestly, it makes me feel anxious and almost jealous. Half their posts are pushing a product or a sign to do so shit that's just so unattainable for the average person. And the caption was, if you know, you motherfucking know. So I think this is a part of it that we're going to talk about just a little bit more in a little bit, but it's like, it does cause jealousy, insecurity, and like kind of hate towards other women a little bit. Because even me, like shitting on the clean girl, like I'm a white girl too, Autumn, like sit the fuck down. Like, why am I like shitting on like blonde bitches? Like, that's not the point. Like, I don't know.
And yeah, because when I think of the beach girl, I don't know how that aesthetic has manifested today, but I think of Savannah Montano and Alexis Ren, remember, and Jay Alvarez, and then there was another Jay. But like whatever, like their whole like Miami, like they're on these trips. Like it was a very aspirational like lifestyle when we were in high school and probably like early college. But I don't know, because I feel like I loved Savannah Montano. Like I was obsessed with her body because she was like thicker in a way. She's not even thick really, but thicker in a way of like that time period where everyone was super skinny. Like her body was more like mine, and like in an aspirational and an achievable way. And like I loved her bikinis and her style, but like I don't think I ever was influenced to buy anything. It was more just like, oh, she's really hot and like cool to look at, and that lifestyle looks nice. But like I don't know, like the hating on people, like part of it might just come from a place of like jealousy, where it's like you're like, when we're living in Boston and it's cold as fuck and we're sad all the time, like watching a girl that's living her best life in Miami on the beach with her perfect boyfriend, it's like, you know, you hate her because you want to be her in a way too. So in one sense that could just be her life. Like, are there a lot of influencers that are like pretending to be happy when they're really not, and it's all marketing? But like some of these people like that, they're rich, they're Nepo babies, whatever. They might just be happy and have a perfect fucking life. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think like it's like a very like healthy perspective to have, to be able to like take these influencers, be like, damn, they have a cool life, and like move on. But I think it's like people are just like so vulnerable to be like sucked into it. Yeah. And it's just like they're just like so jealous and like comparing themselves. And that's when we get into like all the sad shit. And this other woman, Halo Haley, did a YouTube video called TikTok's Obsession with Aesthetics Has Gone Too Far. This was from like a couple of months ago. And a big part of it for me was like, why do trends like boot each other out? Because like I said, like there is a hierarchy, and like when Mob Wife came up, it was technically like elevated above Clean Girl. And there was a lot of TikToks of people being like, oh my God, like I just bought all this Clean Girl shit and now you're telling me I need to go get a fur coat. Like I can't keep up. And they're like, maybe they're kidding, but it's just like, girl, no one's asking you to keep up. And like, there's comments like this girl, Jennifer, was like, I'm so clean, girl, and I don't know how to be anything else. And it's like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, no one is telling you that that's not okay. So I just feel like people need to know that, like, it's okay to be a certain way. Like, you don't need to, like, adjust all the time, like, with all these aesthetics. Like, it's impossible. So it's like, just treat them like the art and fun shit that they are and just move on with your life.
Because, like, honestly, I did see a lot of those TikToks popping up because I ended up in the mob wife, like, algorithm. But, like, I feel like, to me, it's just, like, everyone's just, like, talking about a trend and kind of just, like, being self-deprecating and being funny with it. Like, I don't think I've seen enough of stuff, like, personally, like, and I know you, like, dove way deeper into this for this episode, but, like, when I see content like that, I'm kind of just like, oh, they're just, like, trying to be funny and hop on, like, a trend that might make them go viral because they're being like, oh, like, self-deprecating, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just this bigger conversation, and I don't know, but I'm sure that there are definitely people who, like, feel bad about it too.
Yeah. And I do think it also kind of, like, does kind of fall in, like, the pick me, like, train for me is, like, you're, like, jumping on this trend. Like, maybe they don't even really like it. Like, it's just, like, performative for social media, too. So she was talking about how it's, like, reminiscent, like, sometimes in some people of, like, high school, like, type of clique things. Like, we're all clean girls together or whatever. And this other person from TikTok, LJ, she posted a TikTok that said, look, bitch, don't be a pushover. This whole cool girl aesthetic is full of misogyny. It's basically a rebranded pick me. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m., do 6 hours in the gym, eat air for breakfast, agree with everything he says, pluck every hair from your body, and then make it seem like it was easy. Natural makeup is still makeup. You don't need to follow some new trend to be cool. Just be yourself. The fuck? And I feel like that is, like, kind of what this, like, YouTuber was, like, saying as well. So I just, like, paired those together. But I think it's just, like, people will take it too far sometimes online. And, like, TikTok is just, like, such a place where, like, people feed off of each other so much. And, like, things just become, like, so viral that it's just, like, I don't know, dude. It's just, like, there's so many fucking trends. It's also, like, hard to keep up with all of them.
And I think trends come out of, like, opposition to each other. It's like people are exhausted. Like, people see clean girl. They can't do the 5 a.m. wake up routine and the green smoothie. So they're like, fuck that. Like, I'm going to be, like, a rebel and I'm, like, the party girl. Like, I've seen that, like, the messy, like, party girl aesthetic, like, whatever. But I think, like, part of it is honestly on each individual to be like, okay, like, you can see 10 clean girls on your algorithm and that does not have to affect you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can see that.
I know.
And, like, but I think our need to take things personally and be like, just because we don't see ourselves in every aesthetic and be like, well, fuck clean girl, I'm a party girl, like, I'm a messy party girl, this is cool now, and then now we're battling clean girls for what fucking reason? Like, you have, we don't have complete control over our algorithm, but it's like, you know, your algorithm is gonna feed you what you, like, spend time on. And if you're getting triggered by, like, the fact that this girl is living a clean girl lifestyle, then, like,
you
that
need
might
to get offline.
Yeah, you know, like, I get when it's like, when it's more things like the trad wives and, like, soft life and things that are a little bit more about, like, what it means to be a woman. And, like, a lot of these trends to a degree have that. And I think, like, women, like, girls, like, we put pressure on each other to be like, what is the right type of woman or right type of way to act.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, like, the whole, because to me, this is almost like a little pick-me-ish too. Like, I don't know. It gets so matrixy, like, paradoxical.
I know. I think it's like, it could be, like, almost kind of a reach. And I think the real problem people have, like, is with social media and, like, the bad parts that come with it. Like, I think in a perfect world, like, this wouldn't be a problem. But I think, like, people are so chronically online. They see one video that, like, really pisses them off or, like, triggers them personally. And then they, like, call out the whole thing like this. And, like, I really do get it. Like, I see both sides, and I feel like it's hard. Like, we do have to, like, unlearn misogyny, but sometimes it's, like, misogyny can't always be top of mind. Like, because everything is technically like fucking misogyny if you really dig deep down.
Yeah.
So it's like in order to overcome that, like we have to be like, no, like this is just women expressing themselves. Like, why do we have to like reach so far into this?
Yeah.
And I think it's just all situational. Like these trends are so viral. There's literally like 9 million people posting.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of positivity and then there's a lot of hate shit too.
And the hate is gonna go viral quicker. Like I actually
Exactly.
just watched a whole deep dive from D'Angelo. I forget his last name, but he's a really good video essayist. And I watched it about thou who shall not be named. I'm not gonna say the name so that our kid or whatever. But like part of the reason that content went so viral.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now I know who you're talking about.
If y'all don't know, it's like the super misogynistic one that was arrested, that was demonetized on YouTube. You know who the fuck I'm talking about. We're not saying his name because we think it affects our content. And Autumn's on my ass about it. But anyway, like that, it's like rage bait. Like in a way, it's like speaking to men's insecurities, but it's also like rage bait. And like every time like we see content like that and we interact with, you know, so it's like the wholesome shit is probably gonna go less viral about these trends as much as the
and the happy parts and the and I totally agree. And I think it's like hard too, like being a content creator and like deep diving topics like this and like trying to like actually think critically when like I haven't gone to school in so long.
Yes.
Like, it is like hard, and I do feel like I do have like a negative overall view like of social media. Like I do. Like I think it's ruined our dating lives. Like I think there's a lot good about it, but ultimately like I would be down if there was like a different way to like have a community for our podcast and like whatever.
Well,
but
I think it's like like I hear like the term media literacy like thrown around like a lot now, but like we like this was just put in our hands. Like we don't know how to navigate it, and I think it's on the individual so much to like curate your own feed in the way that you would curate your own living room, your own environment, your own routine. Like this is content that affects you. And I think like because we were brought up in this age where it's not something like our parents taught us or we're like thinking of, you know, like we do have like a responsibility in our own selves to like, I think, choose the media that you consume and choose how you interact with it. Like sit with it for a minute, like put your phone down, like don't watch certain things. Like, cause honestly, maybe it's just because I love consuming content and I feel like it's taught me so much, like through video essays, like podcasts, more long form type of stuff, but style too, like Instagram. Like I love the models that I follow and the stuff I pick up on, but like I think that's a beautiful thing, and like being able to be inspired from people who live in Russia or live in fucking Ukraine, the UK, like what, like that is amazing, but like we can't demonize the whole platform as a whole, even though there's a lot wrong with it. I think we need to like look inside ourselves and take responsibility for the way that we're interacting with content sometimes. Because it's not going to change, you know?
It's not going to change. And that's why it's like you have this whole generation of like iPad babies coming up and everyone's scared they're going to be like doomed and all this shit. But you're right. It's like we have this like power, this like tool in front of us, and it is like on us all to like really just take it with a grain of salt. Like it's not that fucking serious. And like you even like you think you're on TikTok a lot, but I swear like those like 18, 17-year-olds, they're never not on it. And I think that is dangerous. I really do. Like I'm straight up like I feel like such a grandma.
They should have this a TikTok sorry, but they should have like like how we say sex education isn't enough, like relationship education, like online like media literacy, like content, social media education, like. And I feel like us, like, we don't have kids. Like, people who are listening to us might have kids. But, like, I think that that's something that should be a core part of, like, kids' upbringings. Like, learning how to, like, interact with content and, like, manage your emotions around it. Because, you know, it should be on the platforms much more. But, like, at the end of the day, education around it wouldn't hurt, you know?
And it's everything. Like, how you get a job, how you network. Like, it's a fucking skill that we just, like, it all of a sudden just, like, happens. So I absolutely agree. I was just going to say this listener's, like, on sort of the same page. They just said, like, fuck social media on a whole new level of fuck. Just, like, as a general, as a whole. And that's what I think, like, the overall problem is, like, the negative stuff with social media that we do get. Because, unfortunately, it's, like, people are comparing themselves to these trends and these influencers, and it's on them to like step away and just be like, that's a different life, but they don't have the tools to do that.
Yeah.
And so people get fucking sad, and it's supposed to be a good thing. Like, it's supposed to be empowering. Like, that's why it was like everyone's like, we connect on this vibe. But
Yeah.
I do think, like, I don't know, especially like the strawberry, like, here, okay, the strawberry makeup
I don't
and the
understand
tomato
that.
makeup.
What?
So this was the thing where it was like, it's like strawberry makeup, it's like pinks, and tomato makeup, same thing. It's like red, pinks, oranges. And there was like a full-on debate, like, what are the differences of the vibes, and what girl wears strawberry makeup and what girl wears tomato makeup. And again, like, not our side of TikTok, but these videos had so many fucking views. And that's when I'm just like, okay.
But like to be devil's advocate, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Makeup and makeup artistry is a whole profession. It's a whole art form. It's a whole whatever. For two girls who are makeup artists who care very much about different looks and providing like the best services for their customers or like whatever, like that sounds like a serious and important like debate to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think, I don't know, like,
but it's a trend. It wasn't makeup artists though.
But like,
it's just like people.
Yeah, I guess. I'm like iffy. Cause like, what's a trend
fine.
and what's who makes the trends? Probably makeup artists and styles or influencers that are using this makeup product that the brand told them is tomato girl makeup, and then they're doing this, you know,
Right.
like a lot of it comes from like capitalism, but I think it's also beyond social media literacy. It's also like marketing literacy and knowing when you're being marketed to, which I think I feel like I'm hyper aware of because I work in marketing, and I'm aware of like we literally have a tool for the job I work at that we look at an individual, we know what company you look at, and every time you visited our site and every other site, like I'm like hyper aware of like the whole marketing path and like all this stuff. But I think the average person is like doesn't know about these things or even the paid promotion rules or like whatever. So it once you pull back the layers, I feel like it's easier to like not put your whole self into it.
Yeah.
But because you might just be coming across like two makeup artists having a debate about something that's in their niche of, you know what I'm saying?
Right. And that I totally think that that's totally fine. Like I'm more so like talking about like people in the comments, like, that's not strawberry, like this is, like,
or
that's
like being
not
mean
tomato,
to each
this
other.
is. Yeah, and just kind of like, and like it's fine to like have debates, but it's just kind of like, I don't know, I just think it's like a little bit crazy. But we are like going to talk about marketing next, and like how these aesthetic trends like are actually like CEO based or SEO.
Yeah.
Because if you type in like coquette on Amazon, you don't just get clothes, you get accessories, you even get furniture, you get all these things. So marketing is kind of like loving this shit.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm so happy your guys' brains are finally developing and you're waking up to this like aesthetic culture. Like a year and a half ago when I was like, this clean girl thing is the dumbest thing I've ever seen because it's just minimal makeup and you guys like to label things.
No, the whole mob wife thing, shut up. Just shut the hell up. Someone finally inherited their grandmother or great-grandmother's fur coat and you think you're a mob wife. I'm begging you to find your own sense of style and personality, or just delete your TikToks.
The rise of aesthetic culture and the demands that it makes of its consumers is definitely a major contributor to overconsumption. It's important to understand and remember that aesthetics, at least in the modern usage of them as a sort of hyper-curated vibe, is a very new phenomenon, and one that I strongly suspect could not have come to fruition without the internet and the existence of SEO, search engine optimization. Because that's ultimately what an aesthetic is. It's a keyword that describes a certain feeling. If you were to look up, say, cottagecore phone wallpaper, you would expect to find some of the same motifs: flowers in fields, picnic baskets, freshly picked fruit, etc. And it's easier when you don't know exactly what you're looking for to look up cottagecore phone background instead of looking up picnic basket phone background and scouring for hours. The problem is that aesthetics have become this thing that everyone is expected to have, and they're expected to hyper-curate their life to fit an aesthetic. And that's just not realistic. It's not realistic to one day decide that you want to be coquette and to get a coquette wardrobe and to get a coquette room and to eat and drink coquette things and to always be this one hyper-curated ideal in your head of what a coquette girl is. Normal people are not like that. We are multifaceted individuals. You do not need to have one aesthetic. You don't even need to have an aesthetic. Okay, here's a good real life example. I dress pretty goth, right? I'm gonna go sit in my office. And this is my rainbow Lisa Frank office because I am a multifaceted individual. And despite the fact that I dress a certain way, my life is not hyper-curated to appear that same way. And in this office, I have some pretty valuable collectibles. That's because I've been curating this office for 5 years, and I'm still not done. Hence why I only showed a corner of it. But expecting others to fit into one aesthetic, or even subconsciously expecting yourself to fit into one aesthetic, is harmful because it limits your self-expression. When your self-expression is stifled, you feel unhappy. And what does unhappiness lead to? Cheap hits of dopamine with more overconsumption. And these hyper-curated accounts on TikTok where people are showing off their intricately designed coquette bedrooms and their coquette OOTDs and their like what I wear in a days, where it's just all one singular vibe, it sets a harmful and unrealistic precedent. I wouldn't even call these aesthetic subcultures because they lack depth. Because in 5 years, I guarantee you a good chunk of these like coquette influencers, and I'm just using coquette as an example, this fits for basically every aesthetic, they're not going to be coquette anymore. There isn't really politics behind it, it's performance, hence why it's an aesthetic and not a subculture. You don't need to fit into a specific subculture. Most people don't, but you also don't need to hyper-curate your life to fit into a subculture. You know what I mean? It's okay to not have everything right now, or tomorrow, or even in 3 years. You'll get there, and you'll be a lot happier, and you'll have saved a lot of money if you do it thoughtfully.
Okay, so for that first TikTok, I don't love it. I just feel like it's just people want something to be mad about and want to point to other people and be like, oh, you're dumb. Like, it's like people are finding themselves, they're expressing themselves. Like, why does it matter what they call themselves? Let them figure it out. I feel like the good thing, I don't know, guys, but I feel like, again, like the good thing about like having access to all this content is that it like, we live in a very creative time, like, and that is so cool to me.
We do.
Where you can express yourself in all these different ways. Does it have a lot to do with capitalism and overconsumption? Like, definitely. But I feel like anytime someone is playing around, to me that is the same thing as someone being like, oh, well, you're bi today. What are you gonna be pan tomorrow? And then you're straight again. Like, why do you give a fuck? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so what? This girl wants to call herself clean girl, like, and that's what she wants to latch onto. She could be a sad girl next week. That doesn't fucking matter. Like,
and she probably will,
right?
Because
she's
it's not
finding herself.
realistic.
Yeah.
And I think like maybe people have like lost that, like they've lost like the creativity, and I think they are like maybe like she's viewing it like more like the consumerism piece of like all the products and like you have to be perfect to have it. But I get it. It's like, who gives a fuck? And I feel like we all do need to remember that these trends are just for fun. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. But I think people online, like you said, they want to be mad about everything. And like, just because like I put it in the episode doesn't mean I'm like die hard agreeing. Like, I also just think like, this is trendy, that it's a problem. So it's what like a lot of people are talking about, and it's just hard to know. And like I said, I think everything's kind of a problem. Like, we are in like a pessimistic era, but I don't think that that is what we should do. I don't think that that's protesting what's actually the problem. Like, I think we do need to just like embrace, like, this is the society we're in. There's TikTok, it'll go viral, there's trends, but like it's all with like what you take of it.
Yeah.
And I do think like no matter what, it's like women do hate on other women like all the fucking time. Like, there's never not going to be that. And it's like, I'll catch myself too, like hating on other women. Like, it's a part of like misogyny.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they want us to do. They want us to get mad about things and compare. No, like clean girl's better than vanilla girl or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, fucking vanilla girl. I'm like, I want to be like black rose red girl. Like, no, vanilla girl just sounds bad, but I'm also just a sexual
because you think like vanilla sex.
I'm like, they are definitely like kissing when they fuck, and it's very slow.
Yeah,
and, like, that's
I
nice.
don't fuck with that, but
yeah,
but
sometimes.
I feel like, to me, it's like, we're missing the point. And like, I like the second TikTok because I think it's closer to on the nose of like what the problem is, because it's like, for us to get mad at other human beings for identifying as this aesthetic does not make sense to me. The bigger issue is the overconsumption and the capitalism, because
Yes.
again, like coming from a marketing perspective, it's like brands need brand identity and to choose a very specific lane so they can target very specific people to find their products. And like,
this is working.
And this works. That's why SEO is a thing. Like literally, like part of my job is writing like SEO blogs, and like Google's changed its algorithm so it's like different now. But like SEO on TikTok is a big thing. It's not just hashtags, it's your captions, it's what words you put on your screen. They're all so that it can categorize it. And the reason for that is so that brands can be like, oh, this girl likes Stanley Cups, Starbucks, and leggings. She would like our brand. They're categorizing you because they have a very solid brand identity. But like we are humans and we're not companies. And so I think it's important to like pay attention to like, the company is always going to have a very specific brand identity to try to find their target audience. But like you are the consumer. And honestly, like I think we get it confused and we think like companies have more power than they do. Like, I mean, they have a lot of
buy anything.
Right. But like, exactly. And we are not companies. Like we don't need to pick a lane in the same way that a company does. You know?
And you know what else? Like, I think it's really hard. Like you see, like, if this is the age of influencers. Everyone wants to be an influencer. You work from home. You get free stuff. Like, it sounds great. We all see it. But it's like influencers, as much as we feel like they do nothing, they actually do work. And they actually do need money. Like, they can't give you your favorite video every week if they don't have those brand deals. So I think a lot of people get annoyed, like, oh my God, like it's all so much, like Clean Girl, she's marketing this product, but it's like, that is just her job.
It's her job.
But the problem is that with the rise of influencers and everyone's doing it and all these brands and like companies are doing better, that's what leads to like the overconsumption, where it's like, there's so much more like better marketing with these influencers because people really trust them. And I think people are starting to like, I mean, it depends who it is. Like, you got to put effort into your ads. You can't just be like, hey, what's up? Because I don't think people fall for that as much. But, like, that's the problem. It's not, because I feel like people, they also think of these aesthetics, like, maybe, and, like, think of influencers. And I feel like people do have a bad taste of influencer in their mouth. I hear a lot of those people be like, I don't like the word influencer. Like, I'm a content creator.
Yeah.
Because influencer is, like, a dirty word.
And content creator even too, because I know a lot of people in the art scene that are like, oh, it's not content, like stop saying content, that's bad, like da-da-da, it's art, like whatever. But it's, you know, it's because brands are talking about it in terms of this is content. And like, it also makes me think of the whole idea of like, you need to niche down. Like when you're a content creator, an influencer, like you need to, like you're a mommy influencer, you're a whatever. And like that always, even for us, has really like not appealed to me, because like, even though we're sex relationships identity, like we smoke cigarettes, we smoke weed, we drink on this podcast. Like we, in some ways we're very party girl, dirty girl, whatever. But like, we also both have like very solid remote schedules. We work out a good amount. Like, you know, we fall into different categories, and so does our audience.
We read,
we read, like we have these different assets. We could have people listening to us that have kids just because we don't, like, you know, but brands want to put you into these boxes because it's better marketing for them. So like, they're always going to create this stuff. It's just like, I don't know, but I also don't think there's anything wrong with an 18-year-old girl being like, oh, I'm Clean Girl, because she doesn't know any better. Like, I think it's just like, I don't know. It's like such a mess.
It's so layered. And I also like, I do see the performative side. It's like someone that's like advertising themselves as like a coquette girl online. Like, there's no way every aspect of her life is actually coquette. So it's like, and people are mad because it's like, that's not realistic. Like, how can you expect to have everything coquette? But it's like, we know that it's not like that. Like, I'm not sitting here thinking she like pees in the morning on a pink toilet.
And again,
but
that
that's
could be
what
her job. Like that, like
Right.
she could literally be making her money because she found the niche of coquette, and all these
It
brands want to
could
work.
be her job.
So it's like, and that's why it's so weird, because our lifestyles have become so enmeshed with our jobs, especially as women. Like most influence, like I forget the ratio, but it's like more influencers are women. Like we lead
Yeah.
lifestyle type of trend cycle type of things.
Yeah,
But it's
and I feel like the only negative thing for me, like, it's like I do want to like be on trend, like not on trend, but like have cute outfits and cute looks, and like influencer online, like they make it look so good, like the coquette thing, and like even like other ones like cottage core, like other stuff I could be into, whatever, fairy girl, like honestly I'm down, like. But it's like, it's more like it's more just kind of deeper into it. Like, I just want to like look good as a woman.
Right.
Like, I'm insecure about like how I look. It's not like the specific trend that's like hurting me. I think it's just like overall, it's like there's, but arguably it's good. It's like there's so much you can be as a woman. There's not just one lane.
Right. And use
So
it
it's like,
as
what do we, yeah.
I was just gonna say, use it as a tool too, because like remember I told you I was like, I think you would look cute in like coquette styles or whatever.
And I was like, okay.
Like now you can, coquette styles a thing. I'm gonna search that in Amazon, like whatever. Like use it
And I
as a
got
tool
stuff.
for you to find like your different stuff, and don't use it as like you need to fit in this
'Cause
box.
My favorite thing about fashion is like switching it up and literally going from like a different look to something else. And I think that's everyone's favorite thing about it too. And I just think people like, you only see one version of someone on social media. Your timeline is getting slammed with clean girl, and people just like get irritated, I guess. Like, I don't know. I think Gen Z, like, they've been set up, like, maybe not the best. Like, they're lonely as fuck. They're chronically online. But at the end of the day, like, they are creative. Like what you said at the beginning. Like, it is all sort of, like, expression. And, like, it's not their fault. TikTok's a thing. Like,
and it's them. Half of it, I think, is really expression. And then the other half of it is the companies and the brands behind it. Like, just because you're on TikTok as a regular human showing your regular life doesn't mean this person you're coming across isn't an influencer who's getting paid to post this type of stuff. 9 times out of 10, when you see that, that's probably what it is. So, like, I think people just need to, like, recognize when they're being, like, marketed to more, Right.
Which it's hard. Like, not everyone has that lens, but, like, since we are in the society where, like, all of the apps, like, we're constantly, like, you have to kind of, like, wake up to it. It's your job to, like, educate yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's, like, all over. There's so many, like, marketing articles out there. Like, it's not hard. And a lot of people did like that second TikTok we just watched, so I just wanted to read a little bit of the comment section. Someone said, I miss when Tumblr was the place for creating aesthetic pages because it involved a lot of sharing other people's images. Someone said, me who is alternative but also listens to ancient Rihanna music, and my love for nature themes because I'm allowed to be a person with different sides to them. Someone said, this video took a large weight off of my shoulders. And someone said, bro, I really needed this. So I think it's like people did, like, maybe they do need this kind of clarification. Like, you guys, we're being slammed with trends.
Right.
You don't need to commit to one of them. Like, take it or leave it. Because I just think some people, like, I don't know, they just don't think.
They think. They only get what they're, like, being, like, pushed. But, yeah, like, duality is huge. And that's, like, one of the biggest themes on our podcast. Like, you can be
And
both.
I've been insecure about duality before.
Yeah.
And we both have. Like, I was like, I don't really, like, we always say, like, you can smoke cigarettes, you can go to the gym, you can smoke weed, you can do yoga. But, like, to get myself to believe that is hard sometimes. Like, I do feel like, honestly, like, it's funny you brought up the smoking thing. Because, like, not like smoking girls and aesthetic, but I do feel like it is kind of like a vibe. Like, you either smoke or you don't type shit.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like if you do smoke, like, weed or cigarettes, like, I feel like you've, like, maybe been through shit. Like, I feel like people that don't, like, are clean girl. Like, definitely.
Yeah, because we put people in boxes all the time. Like, I think it's a natural human tendency. I mean, like, I find that too, because it's like I separate my life very distinctly. So do you, like, in terms of like our corporate identities versus our regular, because what we think is going to be like perceived
it's hard
okay.
sometimes. I'm like,
Right, but like when I'm out in like East Atlanta at a bar dressed in a mini skirt or whatever, like you're not gonna think that I wake up at 8 a.m. every day and I have a workout routine and I like do this. You see me smoking cigarettes and drinking, like, you know what I'm saying? Like we want to like put people into boxes, like, so I don't know. It just gets so.
But it's like, why do we? It's like. And sometimes, like, putting things in boxes, it's not, like, the worst thing in the world. But it's like, why do we really do that as humans? Because we really do. Like, I feel like maybe it makes us, like, feel more confident about things. Like, makes us feel like we know things. Like, oh, like, that says this about this person. But it's like, yeah, like, we need to just, like, all
be
just,
more.
like.
I remember listening to
Yeah.
a podcast like way long ago that was like talking about behavioral science and like how humans were socialized, and it talked about like that's literally like similar to like anxiety and stress and like how like your body perceives this as a threat. Like humans literally like did that, put people into boxes as like a community like threat type of thing. Like when there were like other villages or whatever like going to war, like back then, like you're like, oh, this person's different than us, therefore we need to protect ourselves and be scared. Like we don't
Not the
identify with them.
villagers.
But yeah, like it was like a podcast like a while back, but like I found that really interesting because it's like I think we got to think about how our brains and how like we're based off what companies tell us in society, we want to put people in boxes, but like second guess that thought before you just are like, oh, this means their whole life is this, oh, this means whatever. Just like, you know, take it at face value and leave it.
Yeah. And I think when people are so like online and like maybe not going outside, like it's easy to get lost in the matrix, but like it's possible to like take it for what it is and leave it.
Yeah.
But as we mentioned before, like not only are these like trends going viral on TikTok, but they're viral, like they're on the news, like celebrities are doing them and stuff. Like, you know, main publisher, like article, like hi people, I don't know the words, but it's gone mainstream. And so we asked you guys, like, why do you think these trends like do go so viral? Like, why do people really eat it the fuck up? And 21% said capitalism, 21% said people are feeling lost in their identity, 46% said people are chronically online, and 12% said it's just fun, IDK. IDK, that was disgusting the way I just said that. But I think they go so viral, blank statement, because they, like, the most obvious reason is because people are online. Like, that's why things go viral, because people are there waiting for the next trend. Like, they're hungry for it. But I don't know. Like, I also think, like, maybe, like, if I had, like, or if we had, like, thought about the episode, like, more, like, another option could be, like, not are they feeling lost in their identity, but they're just, like, genuinely, like, excited to, like, participate in something like that. Because, like you said, like, the artsier side of it, like, people love to, like, have a different look and, like, have a look to curate. Like, people that, like, they literally like plan their outfit off of like mood boards. Like that's how some people like really do. So I feel like that's another reason why they go viral. It's just like people love like fashion and stuff.
Yeah, because I feel like the good side of it is the humans, being creative, being attracted to new things and wanting to explore their identity. I think the bad part of things and why like the other side of it that I'm on in this episode is like, we need to not get mad at other people. We need to get mad at the system that's manipulating us, which is the algorithms and the capitalism. Like, what's putting you into boxes is capitalism and marketing campaigns and the algorithm, because it needs to organize things in some way. So it's like humans are going to be humans. Like, we're going to meet a new person and be inspired by their style. We're going to watch a show and want to make a new fucking pasta dish. Like, that's just, like, human shit. But, like, the boxing of things and, like, all of that, like, it's marketing campaigns and it's ways businesses are trying to make more money. And that's who you need to be, like, mad about more for these labels, I think.
If anyone.
And how they influence people versus just, like, people trying on different hats, you know, so to say.
Right. Yeah. And it does, like, I get how, like, especially if you're younger, like, it's vulnerable to feel like, you know, seeing all these influencers in this new, like, sort of day and age, but it's like, that's just like what it is. And that's why I think what you said at the beginning, it's like being educated on this shit is like important, because it can lead to like extreme depression and like not feeling like you're enough and comparing yourself to all these different rich girls online. Like it's hard and it's not like easy to navigate that. But at the same time, you just have to remember, like, you have no idea. Like, maybe she is rich, but maybe she wasn't before. Like, you know, it's like everyone has their own sort of story. And I think it's just so hard to humanize people that are online because it's not real. And it's just so easy to like cast judgment. And I think it's like something like we just have to be more empathetic and, like you said, like be mad at the systems in place. Just like you can't be mad at like Robert you went on a date with on Tuesday because he did something fucked up. It's like you can be, but it's like patriarchy is the bigger issue.
Yeah.
Like he, you know, so
like,
it's like
yeah,
all
you
of
can
that.
still be mad at him. Like, that's like, yeah, but like
depending on what he did.
right. But yeah, and also like, guys, like, it's hard to maintain a consistent schedule of like posting and creating content. So like most of the people that are doing that are people that are getting paid for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like just thinking about that, like we all post for different reasons. And like a lot of people like that are more influenced just think of the mindset of, oh, I'm just posting because it's fun. Like, but the people that are posting consistently and pushing this stuff are literally getting paid, or their whole companies with marketing budgets. Like,
Yeah.
it's a whole different type of like content. But
And the person when it went from clean girl to mob wife, that person that made that TikTok about clean girls in, mob wife is, or clean girls out, mob wife is in.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they knew how viral that was going to go or how literally people were going to take that.
Yeah.
But like that, I can't even stress enough. Like that video was like the video.
yeah.
Because there's so many people using that sound and like getting a mob wife haircut, like type
Yeah.
shit. Which again, like, it's like, is it really that bad? Like, it's fun to get a new haircut, you know?
Yeah.
I need a new haircut, bitch.
Yeah, I mean, people always want a hot take, but one other aspect I do kind of want to bring up on like the like bad-ish side of things. Like I came across this tweet today. So Pop Crave posted Katy Perry looks incredible in these new photos, and it's her like kind of against this white wall in this like club-esque attire. And this girl posted the club kids in real life are getting sober and the ultra-rich millennials are turning into bushwickified XCX clones. Suddenly Katy has been drinking Molly water the whole time. And I just thought this was so funny because it's like this weird time because of social media. In a way, social media and regular people do drive trends as much as the companies do. Like it's kind of like balancing out.
I know.
And like
we have so much power.
We have more power than we think, especially with TikTok. When who knows how the algorithm has changed? I think it definitely has since there's more people on it. But like the beautiful thing too, it's like a plus and a minus, right? Because it's like a small creator could have this aesthetic or this style or this clothing piece that they made or this subculture and Bushwick of like partying and like whatever, like could go viral. And then all of a sudden someone like Katy Perry or like Rihanna or Beyonce is like wearing it because that's what's trendy. And I feel like it is weird because it's like, you know, it's funny to think about. Like, I think there's like a very clear scene in Atlanta that was like at Reverie that turned to Crybaby and like, you know, the shows and like EAV, like there's like a common thread through the style. Like it's not like completely cohesive, but like there's definitely like a subculture there. And it's funny to think about, like it's kind of cool to think that like, oh, that's going to become like mainstream, but it's also fucked in a way that it's taking like young creative people who are like thrifting or doing what they can with the outfits in their closet and being creative, and then all of a sudden someone with a lot of money is like taking that style and like making it big and then like monetizing it and making money off of it, which we see all the time with companies like Shein literally taking like small designers' clothes and stuff. So like that's the part that's like pretty dry for me, because like there's a lot of appropriation, not just with like, you know, these small party cultures, but also like Black culture, like Latina culture, like stuff like that, where it becomes like we're not giving credit to the people who like invented this style completely, because it's gone so far, and like
it goes so far.
And it the Molly water thing was like hilarious to me, because it made me think of like the style. I feel like our style when we were at Emerson was like very unique. Like Emerson style was kind of like a thing, like us partying and stripping. Like we had like a distinct different type of style that I don't think would fit in a niche. But like back then I was drinking hella Molly water. Like it would be trippy to see one of your favorite stars all of a sudden wearing an outfit that you had just like created in your room because you needed something to wear on a Friday when you're broke as fuck. Like that's kind of weird.
And part of it's like, wow, like I feel like it's like I can't believe it really like got to that level. But also it's like, yeah, it goes so far, and people don't think to know where things came from.
Yeah.
Because they don't really care. Not everyone, but like, I think that's like a big problem too. Would you like, I feel like with Kourtney Kardashian, like, did she kind of take on like mob wife, or she just always kind of like was?
It not really mob wife. Like, she took on like the like, what is it, like Gothic Catholic style, which I really like too, because like I came from like Catholic school and like
with like the crosses and the black and the silver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's almost like a little old Lana Del Rey-ish, like Tumblr-esque vibe, or American Horror Story. Like, that's kind of what I think about too, because like the nuns and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, no, she hasn't always been like that. Maybe, what's her? Travis Barker was more like a little bit goth, whatever.
Yeah, low key, she probably got it from him, not like fucking TikTok. But you never know. Like,
Yeah.
And I feel like even celebrities to that level, like, the fact that they know about these TikTok trends and it's like a thing is just like, it's so crazy the power that honestly, like, these like micro aesthetic and like micro influencers like have. Because at the end of the day, like, the trends would still be trends, but the influencers are kind of the ones that like make the trends go round. Like, those are the videos that are getting viral. Like, they have like the products gifted. They didn't have to buy them. Like, and it's very easy for content creators with so many aesthetics and niches to like kind of like find a lane. But it's also like, I know what you said. It's like they tell you to find a lane. They're like, you should fit into one box as a content creator because like it'll help you drive the algorithm. We'll know exactly what you're doing. But then in turn, people like take that and they're like, oh my God, like they're just one perfect way, one perfect life. But it really is like about the marketing. And I know I kind of went off track, but I'm like, I just had a realization.
Yeah, because there's also people like a lot of these like top stylist designers, whatever, literally go to places where there's like Bushwick, East Atlanta Village, like whatever, and look at what young kids are wearing and what they're doing. And like, that's like and always when it's small designers that don't get credit for like the trends that they created and then all of a sudden they go viral, like that shit does kind of make me sad. It makes me think of like I just watched the Charlie D'Amelio fucking deep dive, but like remember she was doing dances that like a young black creator had created, and then she ended up like giving her credit and she was like, oh, this is where it comes from. And it's like, I want to give benefit of the doubt because we don't always know. Like sometimes it's like this niche aesthetic could come from like fucking Dublin, Ireland, in this niche party scene, and you have no idea because you came across it based off of this company.
Lost in translation.
Yeah, but like I there's like a lot of good YouTube channels that do like deep dives into like where aesthetics came from and where they developed and like who to give credit to and all of that. So like if you're someone who cares about like style or really identifies with coquette, I think you should at least honor like where that comes from, which I think is like tied to like ballerina culture, like whatever. Like you don't have to be a ballerina to do ballerina style, but at least like if it's something you're really passionate about representing, like maybe look at the roots of where it comes from. I don't know.
Yeah. So lastly, we're just going to talk a little bit about the environmental impact on all of this. Like, we do care about the environment. Like, I specifically do. Like, honestly, like I could do a lot better, like especially when it comes to like smoking when you're outside. Like that's where I like, you know what I mean? But I do think it's important to talk about this when we've mentioned like overconsumption like 89 times. So like just some like quick stats. And I did read this article that was from Loyola Mount University. It was like students talking about like aesthetic and all these trends or whatever. So the article said, one issue with micro trends is that they lead to overconsumption that in turn create massive amounts of landfill waste and other pollutants. Once people are done with the trend and on to the next, they often throw it away or donate it, which may also lead to landfill. LMU junior Quinlan Braun has noticed that TikTok trends come and go rapidly. Every month, there's just new clothes coming in that people think are cool. And so they're making more and more different styles and stuff. And I feel like it's going to waste. And so basically, like, you know, to make clothes and like products or whatever, it's like polyester, nylon, acrylic. And like that takes 100 years to kind of like biodegrade and like go away. So it's like a lot. And basically like 35% of all of those microplastics, they are in the ocean, and it comes from like textiles like polyester, which is clothes, And overall, I just thought this was insane. But the fashion industry it's like one of the second largest consumer industry of water specifically, requiring about 700 gallons to produce one cotton shirt and 200 gallons of water to produce a pair of jeans. 2,000 gallons of water to produce a pair of jeans. So it's like I said, like this, it's not a problem that influencers have jobs. They're making money. Like the brands are paying them to market these products. But like at the end of the day, like people look up to these influencers and they will buy the products. Like it has a lot of hold. And like, I do think even online, like those TikTok videos about like, they show their makeup drawers and it's literally like these bitches have makeup. 500 lipsticks and they're never going to use all of this. So this is like an overall problem, not even necessarily related to like the aesthetic trends, but it's just like important to like note like that is definitely like a really bad piece.
Yeah, like this is definitely like a big danger of it. And I feel like that's like so much more the case for thrifting. And like when you really think about it, probably maybe not like Clean Girl, but like Mob Wife and like Dark Academia and all of those like have roots in thrift stores, I feel like, because it's like the things that are being resold in thrift stores from our parents' generation, from other people, like whatever, like that's what people are picking up. So it's like, if you have the opportunity to buy a fur coat that's Mob Wife-esque from a thrift store, which is probably more authentic versus like from Jaded
and
London.
And more the vibe anyway.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Then do that. And I really feel like thrifting, like I know it's hard because like thrifting prices have gone up quite a bit, especially in cities.
And you have to really get in there.
You have to get in there. You gotta check. Like Goodwill is not as good as it used to be. Like all that stuff. But yeah, that is crazy. It really is sad, like how much. And these clothes too, like I remember watching some video. It's like these clothes that are mass produced like this, they don't last. So it's like you could have this cute skirt, like it's gonna fall apart in the laundry. Like its stitching's not great. Like the stretch.
But it'll be good for one night.
Right.
And I do feel like within our culture, it's very like you don't post in an outfit twice. Like that's just not a thing. And like, even with the podcast, it took me a minute to be like, okay, Autumn, like
we can rewear
we've done like 60 episodes at this point. Like I don't have 60 different shirts that I want to wear.
Unfortunately do. Yeah, I'm running out. I'm running out.
But you are a big thrifter, and you've always been like that. Like you ball the fuck out. You have also always had good luck, and I remember being in college, like so jealous of you. I'm like, how the fuck?
Well, I think it's also just like I feel like you gotta like. There's a couple pieces in my closet, like. One, if I like something like thrifting and it's maybe not on style, but I just like it, I might get it and save it for later because I have certain pieces in my closet that I used to wear all the time in college that were thrifted. Do I think that they're like stylish in a way now? No, but the trend cycles are so fast that in next year, it could come back up again. And at least I know this piece was made in like the 80s or the 90s. Like I'm going to hang on to it, those like better quality clothes. You know, so I feel like it's like when you're thrifting, like trust your gut. Don't just look for things that are like super trendy right now. Like look for things that fit you well or that you find cool because that is
eventually it will be.
Yeah, like I have jackets that I've been wearing since freshman year of college and I find different ways to style them, but it's such a good piece that it's like I'm going to keep wearing it. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. And clothes are hard and it's always like people take it so personally because at the end of the day, it's like clothes has to do with like your body and like how you look in certain clothes. And maybe that's why people get so fucking heated too. Because it's just like, it's so, I don't know. It's just like people, they don't see themselves in the type of people that are representing.
That's big.
And they get, you know, and it's upset. And that is upsetting, you know, but it's just like that it does have to do a lot with that. And again, like my problem lies more within like I feel insecure, like I want to look good, not necessarily like want to be on trend.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I need to have a fucking dope, like 10 out of 10 outfit if I leave the house.
Yeah.
Like I do feel that pressure, but I don't feel like conform to be in a specific style. Like I really don't, and I know you don't either, and most people we hang out with also don't, but there are people that do online, which is sad, and I just want to tell them that like they don't need to do that, and like it's gonna be okay, like it's all good.
I actually saw this quote, I think it was on TikTok, it was like, or maybe it was Twitter, it was some like older woman that was in fashion for a while, and she said that the best outfits, like the style happens when you look at your closet and you have no idea what to wear. And I feel like that's so true. Like even last night when I was like going out, I'm like, I have no clue what to wear. Like I'm just gonna play around with, I changed like a couple times, but it's like, you know, like when you're just trying to be creative with the pieces you already have in your closet, that's the times when you're being the most creative and you're gonna go out and you have something that's so different from everybody else, but it's still cool.
And you know what's so crazy, bitch, is like, honest to God, like I was so like willing to do that when I was younger, like in middle school, and like I honestly like did get made fun of for it. Like I would like pair things together that like maybe it didn't look great, but like I genuinely thought it looked good. And then I feel like I hit like 8th grade and it was like, I'm conforming. I'm going to buy Uggs and a North Face. Like, but North there was Faces. A moment in there, like early middle school, where I used to always wear like 2 braids, like right here, like down my face, and like a headband. And like everyone would tell me like I looked so weird, and like glitter eyeliner. Everyone would be like, why are you wearing that? Like I had that when I was growing up, and like I really wish that I like held on to it. Yeah. Because I feel like that's why when I got to Emerson, I was like, I don't know my style, because I was in this town for so long where everyone wore the exact same thing. Like I didn't even know if I liked it or not. And so now it's like to think about, like, we didn't have TikTok aesthetic trends in high school, like what we said. So
I think that's an important thing to stress too, because like I think we're both privileged in the way that like we were able to go to college in a different city and reinvent ourselves, then move again and like be able to I think when you move and you join like a new community, it's easier to reinvent yourself than if you're like in your hometown your whole life and people have known you as this for so long, to suddenly like switch into this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's easier to play
like
around.
You have to go. Yeah. Like, but if you don't have the privilege to go, like that's hard. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. But I'm all here for like when we were little and we would like dress up and like put on a play for your parents at a fucking family gathering. We need to get back to that. Like
honestly. And that's why it's like this all kind of stemmed from like nostalgia shit. And that's what we're all like really yearning and like latching onto. And I'm like, is it because we didn't have social media back then? Yeah. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, well, let's wrap up the episode, guys, talking about what we're wet, dry, and still maybe a little confused about the topic. I'm definitely wet. Like, we didn't talk about this, but like A.I.R.
Oh,
like,
I was going to mention her at some point.
Like,
yes.
I just, like, love her so much. And, like, also, like, she was on Drew Afualo's show. Like, you know, big. Like, I love
She's
that.
She's from Atlanta. Like, she used to work at a restaurant right down the street from me. Yeah.
I know, dude. And, like, just, like, she is just... And, like, talk about, like, creativity and artistry. Right the fuck there, bitch. Yes. Like, she is just, like, so, like, intentional. And, like, all of her looks are, like, I don't know how she does it, honestly. Like, how does she make that whole thing look so good, you know? Yeah. And I think a lot of it just has to do with, like, her just, like, being a light also. Like, she's just hot. But I think it's just, like, she's creative. I don't know. And it really started shit. Yeah. Like, people ate it the fuck up. And, like, that's, like, an example of, like, someone literally, like, coming up because of this, like, fashion creativity. Mm-hmm. And, like... that is, like, definitely the wet parts about all of this. But anyways, yeah, love her, longtime fan. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely wet that, like, we have exposure to, like, different ways to look and, like, the creativity of it all. And just, like, that people are able to kind of, like, relate to one another and, like, the empowering aspects of it, I guess.
Yeah, same. Like, I feel like when I think about us versus, like, my parents' generation, and it's like they still live in a small town, grew up, like, right down the street from their fucking parents. Like, you know, like, I think about the privilege that we have to play around with our style and to try out different things and be exposed to so many, like, different types of media and, like, things to learn about it. So, like, I think that's really cool. Like, I really do think we're living in a very, like, creative age, like, partly because of the pandemic. We spent so much time alone. We have all these platforms to be inspired by. Like, that is all just very cool to me. I'd rather have, even though it's, like, you know, science, math was pushed so much when we were younger, like, I feel like today, like, the arts are pushed more, like, and that's cool. Right. Yeah, I'm wet about, like, some of the different aspects of, like, different styles and, like, being able to, like, pull different things from different stuff, and also like I like to go down the rabbit holes of like where it came from and watch all those video essays, so like that part's wet. I don't know, like I'm wet about the like art of it, art of style, and the art of like also being a young kid and being able to like grow up and try on different stuff to figure out your own identity. Like I think that's all like human and fucking normal, and it needs to be like more accepted.
Yeah, and I'm definitely just dry about like all the hate discourse like we do see on TikTok, and like how like social media tends to like take a good thing that's supposed to be like empowering and just like make it into something bad. And like the overconsumption, like the environmental stuff, like that's all super dry. But I also think like we don't have that much control over like what's going on in terms of like the brands and like all of this being thrown at us. So it's like we just really have to like just like educate ourselves like on this stuff, and just like realize that like and then like boxing yourself into an identity. Like I'm definitely dry that people feel like they need to do that in order to like fit in or like be on trend. Like that's not what like the art of fashion is supposed to be like. And I do think some people take these trends to an extreme and like try to like advertise like a certain lifestyle that's not healthy, like the waking up super early, like always working out, drinking green
or
juice.
The trending
like, it's not
body
realistic.
Types, like please.
The girl bossing, right? The leggings, like there's a lot, but it's like I'm also dry about like maybe it's like people do reach, and it's hard to like know like when it's like it's like valid or not. Like there's just like everyone has opinions, and it's great that we like have a platform that we can all speak them, but it's just like confusing and like I don't know. It's just like you gotta like talk to your people in real life about these things, because if you go down these like online like rabbit holes, like it can really just like change your perspective or like perception on things too.
Yeah, I'm definitely also dry about like the hate and the like annoyance and the like rage bait like type of content about this stuff, because I think like there is a common enemy, but we're not choosing the right one. Like we're getting mad at like individual people versus like the bigger issue is like the algorithms or the social media apps or the like consumer, like the brands or whatever. And like we have to remember like, you know, the 24-year-old girl that's posting this stuff is probably just trying to make money and not work a 9 to 5, and like that type of stuff. Like
and like that's great.
Like awesome. We're literally her as well in a way. You know, but I'm dry also about our inability to see duality in things, and I think it's because of that, like the algorithm culture that we live in and the like consumerist culture that we live in. And I am dry for the people that like take this on. Like it's weird because I feel like throughout this episode, like it's been hard for me to develop empathy or like put myself in the shoes of those people, because I feel like I'm so far out of it. So like I don't want to like discount that is like a real experience for people to feel the pressure to like take on this whole style or identity or buy all this new stuff. But at the same time,
they're in this weird bubble where other people do it too. Like,
and they're growing up. And I think that's also part of it is like, I'm dry that we can't also see that like this is the first time people are like growing up on social media. So I think we need to give a little bit more grace. Like when it's a millennial that's posting, why the fuck is everyone clean girl? And you're talking about 17-year-olds. All right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you were the same way at that age. You just didn't have TikTok, and it was like bare paw boots and it was Starbucks. Like it was just different at that time. So let's develop a little bit more empathy for what it's like to grow up online. But I definitely want to be like empathetic towards those people, and like that is a really real experience, because growing up in this time like can be very confusing, and you have all of these influences as a young person that can be overwhelming and make you feel like you need to conform. And like personally, like I didn't grow up at the time of TikTok, like there was Tumblr and stuff, so I can't relate as much. But at the same time, like I don't know, I feel like it's on us as like older Gen Z, like millennials, like people who will have kids, like whatever, to like push media literacy and push like duality like we do in this podcast, and push that like that is okay without hating on other people, you know, and looking at the system and the algorithms as the bigger problem. So like I want to like, I don't feel like I was like enough empathetic enough towards people that are struggling with that in this episode. So I want to make sure I acknowledge that. But at the same time, like I don't know, like, I want to push to be different than that. Like, we don't need to, like, look at everything as so boxy.
Yeah, I do think it's all about perspective, though. So I don't think it's like, I don't think you should feel bad about that. And I didn't feel like you weren't having empathy for those people. I think it's just like we are lucky to be people that like we're proud of ourselves. Like we are confident in no matter what. And it took us a long time to get there. But I do think exactly what you're saying. It's like, the kids growing up online, this is all they've ever known. This is the marketing that they know. Like they didn't have TV ads and cable. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
but
this
do you
is their...
but because that's their normal, do you think they look at it like, I feel like it's almost harmful for us as like older Gen Z and millennials to be like, this is bad. Sometimes, you know, when it's just their process of growing up is a little different than ours because of like, you know, like them exploring their like identity and trying on different things. I don't think is bad, you know?
Yeah. And I think like we don't know what it's like to be in their shoes.
Yeah.
Like we don't know what that's like. So I don't think, I think like people are hard on Gen Z and like, it's like, you guys like don't have identity. Like I get how that can come across as kind of just like, well, no, they do. They just like have like a huge platform with like a million fucking people on it that all have different personalities. Like that's just what happens. And like, I don't know. I don't think maybe it is as bad as like I thought like at the beginning of the episode, but I do think it's just like really hard to like just like not see the big picture. And I think it's emphasis, like this is what I'm confused about. It's like the misogyny piece. It's like we always like, we're like, okay, like women can be whoever they want. Like we shouldn't put them in boxes. They can do this and that. And then you have all these trends that are like clear cut boxes, like clean girl, this, that, the other thing. And like, while me and you were like, oh, we can be this one the next day. Like, I don't know if everyone else feels like that. So like, is that like, we're just putting another like thing on women, but then it's also like, if you look, it's like, well, no, like it's just a fashion choice. Like everyone likes different things. Like it's, as a woman, it's empowering to like be the sad girl for a day and like whatever. Yeah. So that's where I get confused, because I get the people that say it's misogynistic. It's like putting it in a box, and like, maybe people aren't outwardly like, I'm a clean girl, like I'm better than you, but it's like, I'm a clean girl, I have this, that, and the other thing, like Malibu beach house, like I go on runs at 6 a.m., like, but it's like, that's just her life. Like, you know, that's why it's confusing. It's confusing.
Yeah, because it's all so curated. And I think that's the hard thing, because it's like, even if, like, I know with the trad wife stuff, and some of them, it's like, is this content satire or is it real? Like sometimes like the line, it's so hard to tell, because like, and part of me is like, it's so cool that we're able to be so creative, and someone could be having complete satire in their life as a trad wife. But like, it's also dangerous, because people could be consuming that content thinking it's real. So like, like the line of like, you know, and I think it's also because of like the capitalism and stuff that we can't show like the full duality of everything and like talk about it and accept it. Yeah, but it is super confusing, because it's like, where is the space for that in these algorithms that are so like defined by keywords and consumer culture that wants to put us in brand groups? So like that, that's very
like, you know, that TikTok that's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like, it would be good if you had like Monday, it's like sad girl, Tuesday, you're coquette, Wednesday, you're fucking cottagecore. Like that would be, that's more inspiring to me, because, but it's like, some people want to live a simple life. They want to literally just have like neutral clothes and like that's it, and they feel happy. And I feel like, as someone that would not feel happy doing that, maybe that's why I'm so like, well, I don't want to be that one trend, like whatever. And I'm like, well, we can be all of them. Yeah. But we also should acknowledge that some people do like to just do the same shit every single day. And like, that's fine.
Yeah, because like, I remember when I went to school with like uniforms, like Catholic school, they were like, oh, it's like, it causes less stress and it makes everyone more comfortable because you don't have to think about it and you pick out the same thing every day. Oh my
God, I know. You know? That would have been honestly so nice.
Like, yeah, but I hated it because I wanted to express myself, because that's what I grew up with. But like, even like, they talk about what is it? Like some of these tech billionaires, they wear the same type of outfits every day because it's less decisions, so it's easier for them to pick that. Like, you know, some people do just like that same one aesthetic, like whatever, and then like duality doesn't play a role.
fine.
And that's okay. Like, I think we just need to like stop judging people. I don't know.
Just like let people be, and like you said, like find the real enemy, which is capitalism. Like why are most people poor in this country? Like that's the problem.
Yeah, like
you know?
the poor fucking environment over here. Like, yeah.
Right, because at the end of the day, it's like people do move on from these trends and like never wear shit again and like get rid of it, and like it's a part of life. But
Yeah. One last other thing that I'm confused about, I think, is like giving credit to where trends come from. And like I said, it's so iffy because this could start with this small creator in this small community, and then it's like taken a hold of by this big brand. And like same with TikTok dances, same with like foods, like everything like that. Like it's become such a fusion, like such a melting pot or whatever they say.
we're just humans.
Yeah, like
human
we're
error.
a global society. Like I think like the best practice is like if you find out you've been doing something and someone's like, oh, this is where it comes from, like give credit where it's due. But like that whole idea of like giving credit and like the way things have morphed is so confusing to me, because when is it appropriation? When is it not? Like we've gone too far, I feel like, almost, where it's really hard to differentiate. So that is still really fucking confusing for me.
Yeah, and I feel like almost to be like a successful influencer, like you do have to like work, like you have to like research stuff, like you have
Yes.
to. That is like a big part of it. Like you do kind of have that duty in like a sense.
Yeah.
Or that like, so yeah, it's tough. It really is. But that about does it for this episode, guys. So we hope you liked it. Let us know what you thought. You can always DM us on Instagram or leave a comment below on YouTube. But wherever you're watching, please just take a second to follow and subscribe. Join our community of confused pussies. We would love to have you. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. We are at So Wet So Dry at everything. And yeah.
Yes, and if you guys want to financially support this podcast, we have listener support through Spotify. Even if you're listening on another platform, it's at the bottom of the description for every single episode. It's 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99 a month. It would mean so much to us as small creators. We really appreciate it. Also, if you could rate us 5 stars on Apple Music or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening, it really helps. And we love you so much. We will catch you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Now, I can tell you how I started, but a lot of people come to it differently. How I started was that somebody suggested it as a joke many, many years ago. And it was because of how assertive I was in my communication style, not because of anything sexual. And even though I was quite directive, but everything was very vanilla. And I kept that at the back of my mind. And when I was very frustrated in my corporate career, I looked it up and I found a place that was looking for trainees. And I called them up, joined them, and started pretty much the next week. I managed to shadow a lot of the other mistresses that were working there, who were kind enough to let me in. And the headmistress Amanda, also set up some workshops for us on rope and, you know, little tricks. But a lot of the things that I learned was definitely from observation and from listening to what other people had to say. So I would say that if you don't have access to a facility that is looking for people to train, for looking for new people, and they don't have a system that supports onboarding people, there's a lot of classes that are available. There are lots of communities of people who are available and who have reputations. You want to be careful about who you approach and be wary about whether you can trust their information. Take time, look for reputations, and understand what it is that maybe you're looking for and how you can find that in people who are more aligned with you. So even now, I still look for styles of rope or styles of play, and if they're offering classes, or I gravitate towards them. If they aren't, sometimes I'll ask them whether I can compensate them for their time to answer questions, to run a little workshop for me. And this has been very useful in developing my practice as well. But if you're starting from really the ground up, and you want to understand how to be more dominant or even just assertive in your life,